Alert! Alert! This is an emergency live stream. Please stand by for a Smitty announcement. Alert! Alert! This is an emergency live stream. Please stand by for a Smitty announcement. Alert! Alert! This is an emergency live stream. Please stand by for a Smitty announcement. Alert! Alert! This is an emergency live stream. Please stand by for a Smitty announcement. Alert! Alert! This is an emergency live stream. Please stand by for a Smitty announcement. Alert! Alert! This is an emergency live stream. Please stand by for a Smitty announcement.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live!
Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
What is going on, good people? We are here to talk about Kenneth Walker, and we have some good news. We had some news earlier today break, and I was going to go live on this, but I was waiting for a little more information to come in like it did, and therefore go live with all the facts instead of going live on the first little, inkling of facts. So let's hit the news desk intro and get to it. Appreciate you being here live for the Fantasy Football Show. We're live whenever there's breaking news, and here's the news desk.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
Live whenever news breaks, because your boy Smitty is not just live Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, to bring you your daily show, your daily fix of not just fantasy football news and fantasy football goodness, but your NFL goodness, your NFL news. I'm live whenever news breaks. Sometimes I gather the information first. Sometimes I just go live and fire off, but we're always here doing it. And right now, or earlier today, Pete Carroll came out and told reporters that Kenneth Walker is undergoing a procedure that the team has said is not a sports hernia, which was good news right when it hit because, we were still vague at the time. We're like, okay, what does this mean? It's not a sports hernia. That is good. Sports hernias are not good. Sports hernias are things that could put you on the shelf for quite some time because you have to actually repair it with surgery, and then it's a long, lengthy process back. So the hope was maybe it's just a regular hernia of some sorts. There's all different, ways and places you could have a hernia. Hernias essentially, it sounds a lot worse than it is in some cases. In some cases, it is really bad. If you imagine this piece of paper is the lining of your abdomen or whatever, you have organs that are held in. Think of it like a backpack. Okay, your backpack, the lining of your body cavity holds these organs, right? If there's a hole in it, and let's say it's a small hole, and there's a lot of reasons why you could have a hole, an injury, exertion, whatever, creates a hernia. And you have organs like your intestines and different things that can, when you're exerting energy, you're pushing, everything, and then maybe a little bit of your intestine or an organ's like actually protruding out of that hole. Not a good thing. Hernias are not a good thing. That's why when you were a kid, they always did a hernia check. Cough, right? Well, there are different sizes. There's different places the hernia could be. Essentially, what you don't want is this gaping hole, and you have organs that are trying to come out. You have to fix that. There's all kinds of ways to describe this as well. But essentially, we got the word that it wasn't a sports hernia. So we're good news. Then this news broke. This is Ian Rappaport, who we're kind of team Rappaport. We're not really team Schefter right now. Schefter's kind of like on our doghouse, but we're team Rappaport. We're team Rappaport. We kind of like the Rappaport side of things. He comes out. They both can miss at times, but you know what? They're breaking news left and right. They're hearing information, throwing it out there as fast as they can. I don't fault Rappaport. I think Schefter's getting a little weird in his it's going to his head. I think maybe he feels like Rappaport's taken over his industry, so he tries to separate himself by giving opinion pieces, and he doesn't do good with opinion-based stuff, in my opinion. In my opinion, he doesn't have a good opinion, is basically what I'm trying to tell you. But Rappaport came out saying, my understanding, and it's good that he's giving us a little clarification that he doesn't know for sure. He's hearing things, he's piecing it together, he's trying to inform us as quickly as he can. Hit that thumb up button. We have about 70 or so people in here, only 24 thumbs up. We don't even have we only have a 50% ratio going on here. Wipe thy feet in the door, let's go. Kenneth Walker underwent surgery already to repair a hernia, not what is sometimes called a sports hernia or core muscle injury, which is the more severe kind. And he's expected to make a full recovery, which we kind of knew anyway, but it's nice to see it on written word. And the plan is for him to be out there in week 1 if all goes well. That's probably optimistic talk, which is fine. Doesn't mean it won't happen. I'm just saying you're going to hear positive talk about anything. I mean, you're hearing Zach Wilson's going to be shooting for week 1, and Zach Wilson's probably not going to be out there in week 1. You never know. We don't want them rushing Kenny Walker. You don't want them rushing Zach Wilson. But week 1 is like a real good potential target date, which means that by the time he was ever going to get a hold of the starting job, which wasn't going to be in week 1, we might be no far off course than normal for a Kenneth Walker takeover. I'm not saying that this isn't throwing a monkey wrench into the situation. I'm not saying that it's good that he's going to miss a bunch of time, preparing and trying to get in the best positioning possible to take away the starting job from a non-injured Rashaad Penny, but he will be in prime position pretty much just as he was in week 4, in week 3, in week 5, and while he might not be taking the job before week 1, which may have not even been a possibility because of Penny's finish to the year, they're going to owe him a certain number of carries. It could have been a 50-50 divide walking into week 1. That wouldn't have shocked me at all. Kenny Walker was impressing Pete Carroll left and right. There was excitement in his voice whenever he talked about Walker. So I know he loves Walker. I know he wants him out there. This guy's a soldier. This guy's a warrior. I have no questions at all that he's going to get back to where he needed to be. It's just going to be a little bit of a detour, longer path. That's it. You know, it's like Chutes and Ladders. He slid down the ladder a little bit, but who's to say he's not going to get right where he was, rolling a bunch of, I don't even know if you roll dice in Chutes and Ladders, but like instead of rolling 3s and 4s and moving across the board like he was, he might be rolling 6s every single time and catch up to where he was, and it's not even missing a beat. So everybody needs to have a positive attitude. This is not me digging my heels in and just trying to think of the best way to dress this up and tell people it'll be okay. This sounds like it will be okay. We are not where we wanted to be, but it doesn't sound like we're going to be that far off, if not exactly where we need to be with Kenneth Walker in his positioning by week 2, 3, or 4. You know, so great news. Couldn't have got better news today. Ryan's been here since subscriber 14. He says in the chat, I can't confirm that that's accurate, but I'm going to go ahead and trust him and give him a standing. Appreciate that, subscriber 14. We should just call you number 14. I'm calling BS. Carroll cannot be trusted ever, says R. Smith. I mean, there's always that risk when a coach talks, but this is coming from Rappaport here. This isn't necessarily coming from Carroll, this specific piece. And if it's not a sports hernia, we can draw our own conclusions, Ryan. Or R. Smith, I'm sorry. I was mixing you up with Ryan H. R. Smith, we can draw our own conclusions here. You know, based on the information of the medical information. If he doesn't have a sports hernia, which Pete Carroll is not going to come out with BS like that. Is it a sports hernia? It's not a sports hernia. Like, you know what I mean? You're going to get positive, like, you'll be ready for week 1. I think this is a good boy. This is a good boy. He's a hard worker. I love him. Do you like Homer, the running back? He's a good boy too. I like him. He'll be good. He'll be, you know, like Gruden. You could ask Gruden about the 4th-string running back. Hey, how do you like Joe Schmo, the 4th-string running back? He's the best player on this team. That guy goes out there with grit, and he could start on 34 other NFL teams. There aren't 34 teams. That's okay. He could start on all 34 of them. If there were 2, he would do it. He's the best running back in the entire National Football League. Hey, John Gruden, how do you like your 3rd string? He's the best player in this league. It was like no matter what you ask John Gruden, you got a positive, gritty. He's the best coach speak answer you'd ever get. You couldn't trust John Gruden for anything when you asked him about a player. Not at all. Wipe your feet, 46 people in here. Pete Carroll's hit and miss with what he says. He says they weren't trading Russell Wilson. Guess what? They traded Russell Wilson the next week. So I agree with you, R. Smith. You can't trust Pete Carroll, which is why I came out and said when they said week 1, I'm not like overly optimistic about week 1. But when Rappaport's reporting it's not a sports hernia, don't have concerns that this is different or he's lying about the severity of the injury. He's lying maybe or embellishing the tenacity of coming back for week 1, sure. But I'm not worried about week 1. With Walker, we never expected him to earn his keep in week 1. We do want him as close as possible, but like I said, think of it from the perspective I just painted. It's like he might be exactly where he needs to be or would have been anyway come week 4. So it was a longer road around. He's going to have to make up time. He might be in the same. It's like getting a ticket, getting pulled over on the freeway. You got to get to your destination. He's going to get to it. The question is, can he find a quick path, work hard in a new way, and find a way back on the same course that he would have been if he didn't get pulled over? It's going to be fine. I have a feeling it's going to be fine. This is a beast of a running back that is going to be very undervalued, and I'm still scooping him up in every draft I can go forward. I'm not maybe taking him as high. I'm going to take advantage of the decreased value for sure. If his ADP says round 9 or 10, I'm going to try and get him in 9. If his ADP says 10 or 11, I'm going to get him in 10. You know, I'll reach a round earlier than I have to make sure I get him. But as Stormcat said right here, this is the best possible scenario of this type of situation, and that's the best way to paint it. I mean, I'll just leave Stormcat's message up there, and let's hit these phone lines.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Call into the show. Dial 602 NFL. Dong.
I'm going to get this off the screen. We no longer have the attorney on the phone from yesterday, but man, that was a great call. I clipped that, uploaded that bad boy as a self-contained upload and video, standalone video, because that was 45 minutes of pure gold. And I think a lot of people needed to hear what we had to say in regards to Kamara and the risk that's really still present. People are just, they take reports from Schefter and these other people and they just run with it. You know, they just run with it. C-Mac, am I early tonight? No, anytime breaking news breaks, C-Mac, I go live, baby. This is a whole different show. Although this may bleed into the 4 o'clock show because we only have a 30-minute window to close this and start over again. So we may just keep it rolling. What's up, Ron Navy? You're in the house, live on the show. What's up, my man?
What a relief, huh?
Oh, what a relief it is. I mean, it's the best scenario of the scenarios that were available to us. So, like, while I certainly, you know, am down about the fact that he doesn't have a shot at taking the job in week 1, it may not matter because he may not have had it anyway. Maybe Penny, I'm not wishing injury upon Penny. Can we just be honest here and not act like we're all perfect human beings? Like, are you going to pick the phone up and let Penny know that the storm is coming? You know, you don't want him to get hurt. But are you going to sound the alarm to try and keep him in the best possible health and be like, Penny, we're human beings, okay? I'm not wishing injury upon anyone. But if Penny can't stay healthy in his own right and you wonder if he goes out there, let's test him out. Let's see if he can. And if he's going to get a full course meal 3 games in a row, can he stay healthy? And if he can't, maybe Kenneth Walker's in the lineup quicker than he would have been if they were sharing carries for 6 straight weeks. You know, so you never know. Again, that's not me wishing injury upon Penny. That's me trying to explain that maybe giving Penny 3 starts in a row full volume is going to put him in a place where we know who he is, who we thought he was. You know, he's going to get hurt. Like Penny, the odds of Penny staying healthy on even 6 straight games of pure volume is low.
Well, maybe he just straight up outplays Penny. Even if Penny doesn't get injured, maybe he just straight up outplays Penny.
Yeah, he will. He will. Once he's healthy on the field, getting volume, he will. He will, because this is a guy that the metrics are there, the speed is there, the ability, everything about this guy is just, you know, better than I think a lot of players we've seen come out of college in a while. And I know some people won't agree with that, and that's fine. But I look at the footage like crazy. I watch all the film. I look at the combine stuff over and over. I revisit it. I do the rankings again. I revisit it. I talk about it a lot. And Kenneth Walker's like the data alone, not just the eye test, the data alone shows how dynamic he is. You know, how he was second in the FBS, or in I think total yards. Some of the numbers I'll have to pull up again because Breece Hall and him both just had amazing numbers, amazing combines, amazing film. They both have better hands than anybody gives them credit for. And I think Kenneth Walker, when you try and pinpoint a potential overlooked PPR monster running back like Zeke Elliott. Zeke came out of college. This guy can't catch. They just didn't throw to him. It wasn't that he couldn't catch. They didn't throw to him. They didn't ask him to catch the football. And the same thing's happening with Walker. Everything about Walker's game translates into a good pass catching running back. His ability in open space to just completely avoid getting hit, shedding tackles, tackle breaking machine. Amazing in open space, amazing in changing directions and finding an open, rushing lane or receiving lane. This guy's an absolute monster. So, can he catch the football? He proved it at the combine. If people say he doesn't have good hands, we'll go watch the combine. Go watch some of the practice footage that's leaked out over the last couple of weeks where Kenny Walker's catching the football just fine. And Pete Carroll says he can catch the football. Pete Carroll and Ron, you sent me a clip of Pete Carroll just drooling over the guy. So he's excited about him.
And Carroll said right in that clip, he's doing great on everything: punt returns, catching the football, running the ball, everything. They're so happy with him right now and what he's able to do. And he talked about Penny right before that, but Penny was just like, okay, well, yeah, Penny, hopefully, he could pick up where he did last year and all this. But as soon as he started to talk about Walker, it's like his voice and inflection just changed.
Yeah, and if you actually pay attention to the way he talked about Kenny Walker versus like the like past tense, he's like, Penny did really good last year. Penny was amazing last year. Penny proved last year that, and it was like, oh, Kenneth Walker is doing great. Kenneth Walker is doing this well, and so it's a little bit different. But I still think he's going to give him a shot. Penny's going to, clearly now, but it's just a matter of, will Penny actually stay healthy? Would anybody really bet on that? I wouldn't. There's no way.
Yeah, yep. And Walker's not the only thing today. Heck, they got cigar smoking Joe Burrow on there today, and they're asking, how you feeling? You've lost some weight. He goes, I'm trying to get the weight back, and I'm feeling better every day, stronger every day. And they're like, what are you eating? He goes, everything.
Yeah. What are you smoking? Everything.
So that was good.
Look, Joe Burrow, I love that people are just sleeping on Joe Burrow right now. Just, and some of it isn't like even related to Joe Burrow. Most of it's just that Hurts and Trey Lance are climbing so fast, so quick for everybody that it's not like a knock on Burrow for these people. It's just that he now follows two quarterbacks below, or at least one. And so now Joe Burrow by default, through no one's like negative analysis, he's just falling. He's now like on ESPN, he's like a 7th or 8th quarterback. It's absolutely amazing. It's the best value. Like I told you weeks ago that Joe Burrow was the best fantasy football value in 2022 period. That was before he fell an entire round more. Like now it's like I don't even know how to describe how excited I am about getting Joe Burrow in round 7. Like that wins you a league.
Yeah, well, they're always going to have. Census is always going to have that one guy that they don't, he does awesome, and then come back the next year and they just like they just put him he's good, but they don't put him in that elite status, and that's happening to Joe Burrow.
Hey, I'm gonna bring John in here. I'm gonna bring John in here real quick because John, I don't blame you, John. You're just trying to get in, but John's like calling nonstop. So John, is this an emergency? Is something happened, John?
No, I just did.
John, are you okay? This is the 17th call in a row while I'm talking to Ron Navy. What is going on? Do you need me to pick you up? Do you want me to send an Uber?
I didn't know if they were going through.
No, John, it's okay.
I just looked at my.
John, you can do it anytime. I ignore it because it's not very distracting for me. I noticed you did it a lot, and I was like, hey, let's get this guy in here. He really wants to get in here. John, what can we do for you? Ron Navy and I are at your disposal.
Okay.
Go ahead. Don't feel bad.
So I just looked at my league rules, and it's usually 4 points per passing touchdown every year, and this year it's 5 points. Would you value the quarterbacks a little more, like at the 4 or 5 turn? Because I got the first pick. I was thinking of taking 2 receivers because I like the receivers there. But now I'm thinking of taking like Justin Herbert there. Or do you think like later on, like players like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady that can't run? Do you think they're a little more valuable? It's 5 points.
It's certainly relative, right? But at the same time, when you go from 4 to 6, there are a handful of quarterbacks that kind of float up a little bit. And I think Joe Burrow is certainly one of them. I think Jalen Hurts wouldn't necessarily float any higher because that's not a 45 TD capable passer. The reason Jalen Hurts can score as well as Burrow or as well as anybody is because of the running, right? but he's not going to throw 40 touchdowns. He'll probably throw. I think Hurts could throw 30 touchdowns. I think people are absolutely crazy to think this guy can't breach the 30 mark. And if he runs for 30, that's 40 total. So, like, you know, but when you go up a point, I mean, you think about it. If you throw let's say you throw 38 touchdowns, that's 38 points. If you go from 4 points to 5 points per TD pass, so that's quite a significant bump.
Well, I was already liking Joe Burrow, so I think, you know, he's going up a little bit in my book, and then hopefully I can get him at the turn. I got the first pick, so I got that 4-5 turn, and then I have a 6-7 turn or whatever.
I mean,
so hopefully, would you rather take Herbert the 4-5 turn or try to take the guy Joe Burrow?
Joe Burrow, the guy you just said you loved, Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
John.
Okay.
No, I'm giving you his name. I mean, honestly, John, I don't think that Herbert's going to last to the 4-5 turn in a 5-point per TD league, but maybe your league sleeps on quarterbacks no matter what, you know, happens. But and sometimes a league adjustment like that, everybody's not really used to it. They don't really change their behaviors until they see it.
Well, I really only think probably 2-3 out of the 12 people, 2-3 of them are even noticing this. You know, a lot of people don't even look at the rules every year. You know?
Their magazine hasn't even come in yet, bro. Their magazine's late from Amazon. They're like, you know, they're just going to show up with, you know, their honey-do list, you know, in one hand. And these aren't real drafters. These aren't guys that ignore their family life on draft day. You know, they're probably picking milk up on the way home, John. That's not the way we do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think I'm going to go up a little bit on quarterbacks. I was even thinking of taking Trey Lance late or something like that. But with it being 5 points and our league, for some reason, we do 2-week playoffs.
Hey, Ron.
So you got
Ron. What's your input on
our regular season's only 10 games?
Ron, what's your input on going from 4 points per TD pass to 5, and how much it affects your quarterback decision making?
Well, I don't know why they just got to be different and go to 5. Why didn't they just go to 6? And if they're trying to make the quarterbacks more even, they should have just went to 6, because you still have the advantage going to the receiver and the quarterbacks that run the ball, because they're still going to get one more point every, you know, on a rushing touchdown than they are on passing the ball. So your pocket passes are still at a disadvantage.
Derek Lincoln.
Right.
Yeah. You know what? You know why? I'll tell you why this commissioner did that. He's self-serving. I don't know him very well.
I think he's being sneaky. I think he's trying to be sneaky and only have like 2-3 people know about it.
Look,
you know?
John, I've been around the block a while. I've been in this business 20 years. I can smell things coming from a mile away, and this commissioner is self-serving.
It's a $400 league.
This is a guy.
Do it every year.
John, this is a guy, and we'll call him Bob. This is a guy that literally played in this league before, so he feels he knows it good. He knows it has an advantage. This is that commissioner that makes these changes for himself.
Yeah.
He doesn't vote it in. This is what he wants because he played in it before. He has a little bit of advantage, and somehow he sleeps at night, and I don't know how, trying to manipulate the league scoring. But you know what? You're going to take him down, John, and you're going to take Joseph cigar-smoking Burrow a round earlier than his normal ADP. So if he's going in 6-7, you got to get him in 5-6. I think everybody gets a bump, at least around potentially that late. As far as like Josh Allen, I still don't think I go after Josh Allen because Joe Burrow's going to fall further than Josh Allen's going to fall. I think there's going to be a couple guys that grab quarterbacks early, and then they're going to kind of not grab them early again, and then they're going to come back around. So if Joe Burrow, but again,
I really like the receivers. I can get that 4-5 turn. You know, there's DK Metcalf there, that Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, there's like 5 receivers I like there at that 4-5 turn.
Yeah, but you got to take the flow of draft. Go ahead.
I think the commissioner is setting up. Yeah, you're going to set up for Burrow, but I think that's going to be a disadvantage for you because I think this commissioner is setting up. He's going to try to take Hurts. He's going to try to take some running back that also has an upside of throwing touchdowns, and he's going to outpeg everybody because he's going to get an extra point for every throwing touchdown, and he's still going to get 6 points for every rushing touchdown.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Right.
Hey, I can't say this. This needs to come from your mouth, John. Do you want me to send them to Uranus?
Okay.
You want me to send them to Uranus? Do you want me to send them to your commissioner there?
I want to send them where?
To Uranus, planet Uranus.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What's his name?
Well, I'm kind of glad he did that because I think a lot of people, his name's Mike.
Mike.
I think a lot of people aren't even going to, because we've been doing this league for like 7 years, and every year it's been four points.
Hey, Mike.
I won it 3 years ago, and I think about it every day.
Hey, Mike. Mike, I'm looking at.
I won that championship 3 years ago.
I'm looking at you, Mike, and we're sending you to planet Uranus, aka Uranus, however you want to pronounce it. This is where you're going, pal.
You know what's funny too?
And off he goes.
He's like the only person
to
that's
the
been in it for the whole
planet
7 years that
Uranus.
hasn't won. Like everyone else at least won once that's been in it that long, and he hasn't won at all. So
Yeah.
and he's always
When is
talking
your
a big
draft?
game, never backs it up. Next Sunday, not this 11 days. So
All right.
I have it on my ESPN. I think next Sunday at 6. So
Hey, John, the last thing I'm going to tell you before I move on is that you need to make sure you follow the pre-rank list as best you can. It will guide you. Are you drafting in person?
no, it's just
Okay.
I'm
So
just drafting.
use the pre-rank to your advantage. I mean, it'll tell you when to draft Burrow. If Burrow is on the overall rank at number 4 and you're drafting, you don't pick for 8 picks, he's not going to last. If he's
Well, on the ESPN, his ADP is pretty late.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Burrow go like
his ADP is
Brown
like
and shit. Like,
almost below Drew Lock at this point on ESPN. It's like it's amazing. Like
yeah,
I
that's what I'm
want to.
drafted on. So I think I could even get him in like the 7th.
You might be able to
But
pick him up
I
after
don't-
the draft, according to ESPN, bro. They literally are. It's like they forgot Joe Burrow exists. I don't understand it. I don't even know where it's coming from. The doubt about Joe Burrow. It's like, is it the hernia,
Yeah, well, I think
or
it's
I'm
just
sorry, the
that he missed
appendectomy?
that practice or whatever.
Yeah, but like, come on, like people should use their brains. This guy's like superhuman.
Is there any
He was born smoking a
other
cigar.
players that you know? Is there any other plays you know that are like you know how a lot of these rankings are different on apps? Do you know any other ones that are getting slept on ESPN that you know like on Sleeper or Yahoo
Yeah.
they're going way earlier?
Yeah, I mean DK Metcalf is getting slept on hardcore.
Yeah, that's a guy I really like.
On ESPN.
My gosh, I keep getting him in the 5th round every time.
Maybe later.
on
Maybe
that
later.
ESPN.
Ron, you don't do a lot of ESPN drafts, right? So off the top of my head, I mean, maybe we'll do one tonight or tomorrow. But off the top of my head, it's like it's Joe Burrow sticks out like a sore thumb. DK, sometimes I'm trying to think who else.
That Darnell Mooney and Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm really liking them. I think they're going to be number 1 receivers on their team, and I could always get them at the 4-5 turn.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And Metcalf. There's all 3 of those there usually at the 4-5 turn. So I want to take one of those instead of getting Herbert. You know. And then try to get Darnold.
Did you
know,
guys
on
watch?
7.
Did you guys watch the last episode of Hard Knocks?
Oh my God, that was crazy. Because I loved him
St.
before
Brown.
that, but when I seen him, he did Tom Brady shit to that dude. You know. He was like,
Hey, what, John? Watch your language. Watch your language on the show, John.
oh, I'm sorry. I
St.
forgot
Brown.
about that. To share with you.
Check this out to me. St. Brown, right?
Yeah.
He is gonna. I'm like when I draft again, I'm gonna. I got a chance to take. I'm gonna take more shares of him because
you need
he's
to.
motivated. He remembers everybody
Yeah.
and which way they went in the draft, every single position, every single receiver, where they went, all the way through until he was picked. He's playing with a chip on his shoulder.
Dude, St. Brown.
And he-
St.
he-
Brown.
And he's a smaller guy, and that his dad is a trainer. I'm not as worried about him getting hurt. Like
Yeah,
his dad's training. He's making fun of all the other players of how they're built and stuff.
Yeah, no,
So
his
he's
dad's
training
his dad's
muscles not to get
Mr.
hurt.
His dad's back-to-back Mr. Universe in 81 and 82. You know this. So St. Brown's coming from a monster of a man, and yeah, he's got discipline and hardcore training and taking care of your body embedded in his being. So St. Brown, I mean, you can see he's muscular. He takes care of himself. This guy's strong for his size. St. Brown is probably, if I had to say, my favorite wide receiver 2 in 2022.
Honestly, I'm kind of mad that came out
You
because
know.
I was loving. He was like my favorite player. Like draft day, his name was in my pocket. Like I loved him because I picked him up in free agency last year. He got me to the playoffs. Like I loved him. And then when that came out, I'm like, oh man, his ADP is about to go up.
Yeah,
he is. It still hasn't changed.
Yeah,
he's golden. He's golden round 6.
His dad also said all these players are getting these Achilles injuries, and they're not doing the right type of stuff to prevent from getting the Achilles injury. He goes, I have my sons. They won't get Achilles injuries because they're doing the right things to prevent that from happening.
Yeah. Yeah, St. Brown is my.
I love him.
St. Brown's my favorite wide receiver where you ignore wide receiver 2. Okay, you ignore wide receiver 2, you come back in and you put St. Brown in it, and you let people cry and weep themselves to sleep at night because you have a guy that they knew, because I told them, finished number 2 out of all wide receivers in weeks 13 through 18. And as I said it, weeks 13 through 18, any one of the weeks he was top 5. He was consistent. Okay, I gotta jump, John. I appreciate you. Ron Navy, I gotta read these super chats, so I'm gonna let you both go. Ron, call back if you have anything else.
Hey, just before I get out of here, though, that DK Metcalf, I know one weird stat about him. He averaged more points with Geno Smith than he did Russell Wilson last year. So that's one reason I'm real on.
Yes,
real
sir.
high on DK. But all right, Smitty.
All right.
You have a good one.
Later, Ron. You got anything else, real quick?
Nope. Later.
All right. Call back anytime, Ron. Bye. All right. Let me hit these real quickly. Do you read super chats anymore? No, I mean, Ryan, I got them on the screen here so that I can get to them, so I don't forget them, and I'm definitely not going to leave them up all show. I'm doing that for a reason so I can read them. Let's get to Ryan's. You see fights at the Patriots-Panthers practice. CMC tackled hard. I don't think there were any injuries, but I expect some shenanigans on Friday's game. Maybe, Ryan. And first of all, appreciate your super chat. I did give you a standing ovation anyway, but let's give you one more for the wait. Appreciate you.
Mashed potatoes!
Boy.
Yeah, buddy.
Whoa. Yeah, so thanks for the super chat. We should see. We will see. CMC getting hit hard, I'm sure didn't excite Christian McCaffrey owners. Here's another one. Evans or Edelman. Wait, what? Evans or Edelman? That's how you know I'm an OG. That was when you were on vacation live stream, if I remember correctly, Tampa. I'm not following what this is even referencing, but was there like an old question you're remembering? I don't know. Let me know what you mean by this. Appreciate your super chat, buddy. I'm in Melvin Gordon's interview today. In Melvin Gordon's interview today, he admitted Javonte is better than him, and the Broncos want Javonte to be the guy. Wow. I haven't seen or heard that yet, but send me a link. DM me a link to that. Let's get that up on the screen. That's something that needs more press. That's true. That's great. That's great. That's being kept under wraps. I haven't seen that yet. Penny has never played anything close to a full season. That's just fact. Kenneth Walker has clear path to 3-down usage if Penny gets hurt again, and Penny's going to get overfed. They're going to overwater this plant. Derek Lincoln says lamb foot got cut, and he got stitches, and now not practicing. Just some news, mashed potatoes. Yeah, I'm sure he's fine. What did he cut it on, though? Do we even know? Do we know? Did he cut it on... was he doing something stupid? Like, what's going on? All right. Appreciate you, Derek Lincoln, with the super chat. Dribble says, Smitty, I drafted Sutton over Judy. Thoughts? I mean, that's preference, bro. No one knows what's going to happen. No one knows who's going to be the one there. I'm going to bet on Judy, but Sutton's good too. Either one could be the number one. They both could split it completely evenly and both be kind of like wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 2s, and neither one of them become a wide receiver 1. You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. What can I do for you?
Hey, Smitty, how you doing? Just wanted to talk to you, man. I'm in a 10-team league. I have the 7th overall pick. I've just been trying to figure out who I should take. Just because I'm kind of leading maybe to go running back. I don't want to have a particular strategy, but just seeing like some of the guys that are falling around and maybe try attacking like rounds 3 or 4 for like just a couple receivers. I just wanted to get like your thoughts.
So my thoughts on the 7 pick in general?
What is it?
Are you asking me about the 7 pick in general?
Yeah, like out of the 7th pick, like who are some of the guys that you think that I should like?
Yeah, I
be
mean,
looking at.
I mean,
just because like I've been doing like some mock drafts, not like, but I know my home leagues are a lot different, and who I'm thinking that maybe he'll be there is like Najee Harris or like like Swift and stuff like that, depending on, or maybe one of the receivers.
Hit that subscribe button if you're new and wipe your feet.
Yeah, I think hit that subscribe button if you're new, guys, and hit the thumbs up. So in general, from the 7 or the 6 or the 8 pick, when people ask me this question, it's pretty clear cut answer, cookie cutter answer for me, because it's like it's the way I feel, and it doesn't really change. If Jamar Chase is there, I'm taking Jamar Chase. And no, I don't need a follow-up question. But what do you think about... I don't care. Jamar Chase is there at 7. He's literally my number 2 overall player in a PPR. So if he's there, it's a home run. If Najee's there, I'm taking Najee next. And I'd even contemplate Najee over Chase if because they're pretty close. But it depends on how you feel about running backs falling in your particular league and all that. But Jamar Chase is a smash. And not to mention, you're going to have a really close, like you mentioned, Javonte, you're going to have a really close second-round pick, or at least a decently close pick to that other pick. So maybe Javonte falls. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. My next player up will be Swift. And I've gone on record over and over. I don't really care how many people it upsets or makes people feel uncomfortable. They can at me all they want, but I'm taking DeAndre Swift over CMC. I'm taking him over Derrick Henry. I'm taking him over Dalvin Cook. And so, in a worst-case scenario, if Jamar Chase is gone, Najee's gone, I'm not forcing one of those guys because my peers are doing it or I feel peer pressured to do it. I'm taking the guy I feel who is still a first-rounder, so it's not like you're reaching. You're reaching a little bit, but it's okay to reach a little bit. You're reaching within the confines of the same, round and tier. I'm taking Swift. And at 7, I don't even bat an eye. This guy could be the number 2 or number 3 overall running back in 2022. His situation is so drastically changed from last year. This is what he needed. He needed all the volume. He needed the support of his coaching staff, which he didn't have last year. And he's got the volume. He's there. He's the volume hog. And he's so dynamic. And Campbell and everybody loves him so much, and they talk him up about how much of a playmaker he is. This is what we want Hackett and the Denver coaching staff to say about Javonte. And eventually they will. Where it's like, yeah, Jamal Williams is there, right? But when they talk about, this guy can score at any moment, they understand the assignment. Like, you're near the goal line, you're in the red zone, you want to score, give the ball to the guy that can punch it in the end zone during any given carry. And so we want that out of Hackett. I think we'll get it eventually because they will see how productive he is. Because Javonte Williams over every single running back in the entire National Football League. And I don't care who in here tries to say differently in the chat after I make this comment. I know Swaggy's going to say, stop! Swaggy always puts his, stop, committee, stop. There's no running back in the entire National Football League that has better balance than Javonte Williams. Not one. Not one. Not JT. Nobody. JT's very close. Javonte has the best balance in the entire league. How do I know that? I have facts to back it up. His tackle breaking stats. The way when you break tackles and you don't get knocked off course, when you don't get knocked over, tackled, dragged down, that proves you have the best balance in the league. Not to mention, even if I didn't have my grips on any kind of stat whatsoever, and all I had were my eyeballs to watch games and footage like I do, and like I witness every single year, I rewatch stuff all the time, I absorb everything I can get my eyeballs and hands on. And when I watch Javonte run, I see the best balance, the best tackle breaking ability, the hardest running back to take down. I see that player. That used to be Derrick Henry in terms of the taking down a running back. But we'll see what happens with Derrick Henry this year. I think we're going to see, at least by midseason, if he comes out on a tear, by midseason, Derrick Henry slow down and be one of those guys where you're like, man, it almost just feels like he's running in mud because he's got 8-man fronts all the time. They can't stretch the field. I know Burks had a one-handed catch in the scrimmage or practice, and everyone's like, okay, maybe Burks is the real deal. Burks has been disappointing the whole time. Not to mention, I don't think the passing attack will be remotely as even close to the way that it used to be with A.J. Brown. So you're going to see a lot of stacked boxes, a lot of bigger box counts. And so, I think this Tennessee, I don't know how I got on Tennessee, but back to the question at hand. I'm very long-winded, and I go in a bunch of different tangents. Javonte in round 2 is a home run. Debo in round 2 is a home run. Would I even go Jamar Chase and Debo? Okay. Absolutely. I wouldn't even bat an eye because you're going to get Breece Hall. You're going to get ETN. You're going to fill your running backs, downstream a little bit.
So what would you do if, let's just say, for instance, I do have to pick between Debo or Javonte. Does it depend on what I do for the 7th pick? Because I've been definitely checking out your stuff and a lot of other people, and one of the things that I've been hearing a lot is that the wide receiver room, especially in terms of where you're drafting, there's definitely a lot of more wide receivers compared to running backs. There's not really that many running backs that you want to grab to have on your team because there's a lot of different certain situations where a lot of the guys are a 50-50 splits almost, and after you get to a certain point, if you get to that certain cutoff, there's not really you're just
you got you got a blindfold,
basically rolling the dice.
You got a blindfold at home?
Yep.
Okay, take a blindfold, put it on, walk into your draft, and just stick your hand in the running back bucket and pull one out. That's how I feel you can't draft like that. I get what you're saying, and when all things are equal, you can then resort to, okay, I'm going to go running back. Or in the case of Najee, Jamar Chase. Very, very close, and you're okay, Najee, Jamar Chase, who do I go here? Everybody's very running back hungry. We did that in the throne draft. We took Breece Hall and we took Breece Hall and who was it? Was it Herbert? No, I forget who we took. We took Breece Hall and Hill, Tyreek Hill, at back-to-back picks at 24 and 25. And we took Breece Hall because we were looking at only Breece Hall, ETN, and Gibson and Montgomery. Those are the only 4 legitimate running backs left. And we were sitting there at 3.1. And we had to go all the way down the 3rd round, all the way down the 4th round back before we could take a running back again. There is a time and a place to use positional need and scarcity to guide you, but Breece Hall was still arguably the best player on the board, and it was more about justifying the secondary things involved. Okay, what about position of need after best player available is determined? You cannot pass on a player that hits a home run from that draft slot because of positional need. This is why teams passed on Adrian Peterson over and over in the NFL. You just can't do it. You got to be smart about draft value. Now, to your point, are you worried about running backs being consumed? Sure, and that's why I say Swift would be the guy I'd take over a whole lot of other players because I feel like he's the best player available at a certain point in a draft when Jamar Chase is gone, Kupp's gone, Jefferson's clearly gone, and JT's gone. When JT's gone, I could literally consider Swift after the top 3 running backs and JT are off the board. I could Smitty approve you picking him at 6. So if you want to take Najee or Swift over Adams or whatever, then yeah. I mean, I have a feeling you're going to be in a position to take a running back in that 1st round. I don't think you'll have Jamar Chase there, but if he's there, I smash it. And then I take Joe Burrow around 6, 7, and I have that stack that's going to carry you week in and week out, and then you surround it with 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th round talent. Who's going to stop you, bro? And you should have a Breece Hall there, an ETN there. You're going to get one of those running backs, and maybe best player available creates a hole at your running back too. If you have anxiety about that, and there's no shame to have it for that. There's some people that have helped draft, and they swore, I want to do what you're suggesting here, Smitty, and then they can't handle it. And they freak out, and they destroy their team, and they trade everything away because they can't handle having a RB2 that's shaky. They just can't handle it. If you can't handle it, then do what works for you. But I'll walk into a league stacked to the rafters at every single position. Every facet of my lineup is just bleeding talent that shouldn't be there, just stacked to the ceiling. And then because of it, I have a really weak to everybody else running back too. And then guess what I do? I have an Eli Mitchell step up. I have somebody, and then guess what? You have a team no one can touch. So sometimes staying on top of the waiver wire, building through, getting Tony Pollards and Alexander Madisons and all that, and you do have a weaker running back too, and then you land it, Kenneth Walker round 8 or 9 or 10 now. I mean, bro, you can absolutely explode.
Okay. Well, thanks. Because like I said, man, because I know there's like a lot of sites, like a lot of people that are saying that I think it's like rounds like 5 to 8 is like really good at like wide receiver. So I guess like I've been reading that up, like just like within like the first like couple rounds, maybe try to get a couple running backs, and then try to, that way like when you're at rounds 5 to 8, when everybody might be trying to like dig into like that next like running back, like you can go after like some of those like wide receivers like Davis and I think Rashaad Bateman, and like Mike Williams, just like a couple of those guys. And so I just like to get like feedback from you, because I know everybody's different and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right, man. Go get it. Call in anytime. Appreciate you.
No problem. Thanks, man.
Draft a player, not a position. Later. Parker, Evans, Jones, and A.J. Dillon for Chase Chubb. Sorry, call back again. I missed you. Evans, Jones, and A.J. Dillon for Chase and Chubb. Evans, Jones, and A.J. Dillon for Chase and Chubb. Give me Chase and Chubb. What's up, man? You're live on the Fantasy Football Show.
What's up, Smitty?
Who's
I
this?
had a question. I have the fourth overall pick. I'm drafting tonight.
Oh, who am I talking to?
And I wanted to know, you're talking to Dribble Guy.
Okay, what's up, Dribble?
What's up, bro? I have the fourth overall.
Oh, we lost Dribble. Dribble, call back. You're live at the Fantasy Football Show. Who am I talking to? Okay. I don't know what people are doing here today. You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. Who am I talking to?
Hello?
Yeah, who am I talking to?
This is Bill.
Bill, what's up, Bill?
Not much, bro. Hey, I got the number 5 pick in one draft and the number 11 in another. In the number 5, I'm thinking about going Josh Allen because it's in a league that gives 6 points per passing touchdown. Would that be an absurd place to go Allen instead of, say, Cooper Kupp or Jefferson? And with the 11th pick, I'm thinking about going I'm a Lions fan, but I'm thinking about going with Swift at 11 and hoping Javonte makes it back to me at 14. So my basic question is at the 5 with Josh Allen and taking that, is the 6 points per passing touchdown, 8 points per passing touchdown if they're longer than 39 yards or longer? Is that worth taking a QB at the 5 spot?
Well, I mean, you shouldn't be taking a QB in the first round unless it's a super flex, mainly because you're going to see like Burrow fall to a ridiculous value still, right? I mean, where do you project Burrow to go in this format, knowing your people you're drafting with?
Probably 4th or 5th round.
Okay,
because it's 6 points per passing touchdown.
Yeah,
so quarterbacks tend to go earlier.
Yeah. So because you're I think this is Dribble. Call back in again real quick, Dribble. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, Joe Burrow in 4 or 5, even if he goes in 4 or 5 instead of 6 or 7, that is a much crazier, value, bro. That's insanely good. Don't
now,
be.
You think so? You don't think you would rather have Kupp or Jefferson at the 5 spot instead of Allen, even though passing touchdowns are 6 points?
Well, like I just said, you just told me Burrow's going around 4 or 5.
Right.
So why would you take a cool?
Yeah.
What? Huh?
that's just an estimation, obviously, on my part. But you're right. I mean, it is deep, but with his rushing upside that Allen has, it's like getting a running back and a quarterback. I mean, no one's going to run as much as him besides Lamar Jackson. So I was just looking at the numbers, and it seems like Josh Allen would be a value pick. But then again, I won't pick again until the middle of the second round, where I'm looking at the start of the running.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a QB league. And I would say that historically, what happens with your, historically, where do these guys normally go? Have you ever drafted with these guys before? Are quarterbacks, going?
Yeah. Like Josh Allen, when Aaron Rodgers prime, he would be a keeper going the first and second round. So yeah, usually, I mean, Herbert and Allen aren't going to make it past the second round. So, I mean, they're just not in this league, not when they're valued, not with 6-point passing touchdowns, plus a 2-point bonus if the touchdown's longer than 39 yards. I mean, I don't think they're going to make it past the second round.
Well,
so,
my advice is only as good as the information of will you get one of these quarterbacks in round 4 or 5? Hurts, Trey Lance, Joe Burrow.
Right.
If they're going in round 2, then I still probably go with one of those guys in round 2 versus Josh Allen in round 1, and I take my JT or my Najee or my Jamar Chase. But you really got to go. You really got to go with the flow, though, bro. You can't. If it looks like Burrow's going to fly off the board before your 3.2 pick and like 8 quarterbacks are gone, then I would play the game of going earlier quarterback than normal to make sure I get Joe Burrow and I don't get screwed at quarterback. But at the same time, let's say you do draft against traffic and you let everybody blow their opportunity of getting these bigger name guys. I could still dominate the league if I sat back and said, you know what, I'm going to come in and get Brady or A-Rod or Stafford later.
Sure, yeah.
And then I'm going to have I'm going to have an extra Deebo Samuel or an extra Javonte or Swift. If I were you, I wouldn't play the early quarterback game with them. I wouldn't do it. I would sit back. I would take advantage of Burrow later. If Burrow doesn't go later, I'd take advantage of Hurts or Lance. If they don't go later, and you're passing on Deebo Samuel type players. Now, do I take him in round 4 or 5 turn Burrow or Hurts or Lance? Maybe, yeah. But second round, third round,
it feels weird taking a wide receiver at 5 just feels odd to me. I mean, I don't think I've ever done it before. So, but if the 4 running backs fly off, I'm going to be looking at, Kupp or Jefferson or Josh Allen or Kelsey. I mean, so. And at the number 11, I appreciate your insight. At the number 11, say Mixon and Swift are there. Would you take Swift over Mixon? And when that comes back to me at the 14, if Javonte's there, would you take him over Mixon or Swift as well?
I like Swift and Javonte in that order. These are both potentially 12 and 13 overall players to me. So,
okay. I wonder if I just hope Javonte makes it past the 12 and 13, the guy at the turn, and gets back to me. Yep. I mean, that's a concern for everybody. But, I really appreciate you.
All right, Bill.
Show. Thanks for your time, man.
Later, Bill. Appreciate you. Okay, Dribble, try one more time. What's up, Rock Out? ETN or DK? Okay, so I got to answer this question for Parker. I already did, I think. But in general, Parker, you still here? I mean, Chubb and Chase, I'm probably taking, bro. It's just a better, like Chubb and AJ Dillon or Aaron Jones and Chubb are really close. You could argue either one, and then Chase is a whole round and a half above Evans. So you're live on the fantasy. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, what's up, man? Is this Dribble?
Can you hear me? Yeah, it's Dribble. Yeah, what's up?
Sorry about that. I don't know if it was my
bad.
What's up?
You're good. So I have the 4th overall pick, and someone is offering me, they were like, you want to trade for the 6th overall pick, and what do you think is better, the 4th spot or the 6th spot?
It doesn't really matter. I mean, I would probably say because Jamar Chase can fall to 6 pretty easily, I'd probably take the 6th pick, and that way I can move my second rounder up again. But it could go. You could then argue the 3rd rounder. What do you want to do with the 3rd round pick? And So they're very close. I mean, neither one of them are the one. So anything below the one is kind of awkward until you get back down toward like the middle or later part of the draft, because I want to take a Jamar Chase at 2 or 3 or 4. So if I can get him at 6, the better. Okay.
Now, I just wanted to know, like, because if I do take the 4, I know, like my peers, they go running back heavy. And so, like, who would I take? Like, Derrick Henry or, like, Justin Jefferson? Like, if I do keep the 4.
I mean, I'm not drafting Henry in the top 5. I'm just not. But I mean, I can understand why people want to. But that's just not a player I'm willing to invest in top 5 value. Like, I would take him at a place where he probably wouldn't fall. So my line in the sand, there is a line. I'm definitely going to draft him at a certain point, but, like, he's never falling to that point. But trust your gut.
Yeah, he always goes in the top 5.
Trust your gut. If you like Henry, trust your gut. I'm not here to try and change your mind on that. I'm just trying to give you guidance on what I've seen historically and how it would be an improbable outlier, which is certainly possible. There's outliers all the time. It's not like a guy can't be an outlier, but he would have to be an outlier to come in after getting broken down from a 2,000-yard season and a 400 carry season, which historically individually break running backs, completely break you. So to have both of those and then him get hurt and then people say, oh, his ironic injury was freak. Every injury's freak. You can't argue that what happened to his foot was freak. He got stepped on. Well, why was it vulnerable? Because he got worn down. Like, you could go all circles with people on the injury prone angle. So I'm not going near him when you can get Najee at 4. You can get Swift at 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. You can get Jamar Chase, Jefferson. I take Jefferson over Henry in a heartbeat. I take.
Would you take Najee over Jefferson?
I could go either way. I could go. I honestly feel like JJ and Jamar Chase and Cooper Kupp are the best players to draft in PPR after JT's off the board.
Okay.
I would say that
it would. CMC in the top 5?
No, I don't have CMC in the top 5. I don't have Henry in the top 5. I don't have Dalvin Cook in the top 5. I think there's a changing of the guard coming. I'd rather have one of these guys I feel is going to be more likely to be standing at Week 17's end.
Okay. So your order would be JT and then, like, the receivers, like the top.
I mean, that's my order in general. But if you're saying these guys are running back hungry and they're going to, like, you're not going to see Javonte, even if you take the later pick. Like, let's say you take the 6th pick, and can you get Javonte in that second round with that pick? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll probably be able to. Okay, I'm gonna trade for those 6.
If you got a better shot at a running, you might have a better shot at a running back with that.
Yeah. So, like, if I get the 6, I'll take, like, a receiver in the first round and then, like, a good running back in the second, because I know, like, that's possible. Like, in the second, 5 to 6. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Trust your gut, though. Always over anybody, even including me. Trust your gut. Don't let anybody sway you away from a player. If you have a hardcore belief. All right, man.
Have a nice.
Everybody's got their own opinion, and nobody should be letting someone completely convince you of going in a different direction. Use me as a push you over the fence when you feel very similar about a topic and you're not sure which direction to go to. But if someone loves Henry this year, I'm not here to tell you not to. I'm not here to tell you, Henry, don't do it. Like, trust your gut. Trust your gut. I understand why everybody wants to be high on Henry, wants to be high on Cook again. Cook's got that torn labrum. Who knows what's going on? He's got the off-the-field issues that still are not resolved, as far as I know. He's still got a pending situation where he's been, he's got some horrible accusations against him with that. People forget because of the Watson stuff. But there's an awful photo, and his attorney's got him out in front of it. If you guys remember, that still looks like it's potentially pending. There's no information on that. CMC plus Barkley over Swift plus Javonte. I take Swift and Javonte. That's me. I can understand why anybody has it different. Imagine not having CMC in the top 5. It's blasphemous. Imagine feeling that is something that would make you feel you had to imagine it. Like, See, like, here's the thing. This is what's so funny about these perspectives here, like Swaggy's. I can understand Swaggy taking Christian McCaffrey at number 1. I can understand it. The fact that he can't understand not wanting to do it is hilarious to me, because I can see his side. He can't see my side. And I have everything, all of the momentum in historical everything. History's on my side. Christian McCaffrey hasn't showed up for 2 years. You're literally shocked that I don't have CMC in my top 5. You're like, imagine Smitty doesn't have CMC in his top 5. I'm trying to imagine you thinking you have a case to say imagine. It's hilarious. You have 2 years of disappointment. He's got to prove to you he's worth top 5, not the other way around. Like, it's not even close to my mind. This is not nowhere near a eyeball emoji, laughable situation. Christian McCaffrey's got to prove it to you. He's got to prove it to everybody. There's no guarantee Christian McCaffrey top 5. Get out of here with that nonsense. Straight nonsense. Straight nonsense. I'm open-minded to you liking CMC number 1. You're literally closed-minded to somebody saying, yeah, 2 years of disappointment. I think I'll wait. I'll let you do it. It makes sense why you want to do it. But imagine. You get the full clip on that one, bro. The full clip. ETN or DK and DeMont redraft. ETN or DK and DeMont. Give me ETN. I don't trust DeMont right now. I don't trust him at all. Cook or Najee, give me Najee. There's too many things I worry about. I have CMC and Barkley basically back to back. I think CMC is going a little too high on Barkley, a little too low. I could understand all that. These are 2 players I just don't want to own because they've disappointed, you know. And some people like to give players another chance, and I do too. Look at me with ETN. The difference is there's not a long track record of it. ETN's just coming into the league. ETN's younger. He can heal quicker. There's a whole lot of components involved in trying to predict downfall or injury and all that, and it's a risky business. Look, it is not an easy business to sit here and say, this guy's going to get hurt or this guy's got too much mileage. I don't want to be left holding the bag. And like I give the examples with the roulette wheel. And I had a follower say this in the comments too, that he liked my example. I've said it 2 different ways, and I think the other way is better because it seems to resonate more. If you have a roulette wheel and you walk up to it, and Christian McCaffrey is the roulette wheel, so every player is their own roulette wheel. So this is how he liked that it was described, and I agree with him. It probably is the best way to take it. Christian McCaffrey's roulette wheel has a whole lot more disappointing red X's on it than a player like Najee. Even though Najee's got them too, Najee's got several spots on the roulette wheel that if the ball lands in the red X, he's out for the year, or whatever. Every running back has them. Doesn't mean that if Najee goes down in 2022 and CMC doesn't, that anyone was really wrong or right. It's just an odds game. You walk up to Christian McCaffrey's roulette wheel, there are more red X's on it, out for the year, disappointments, whatever, than there are on a whole bunch of other players that get drafted right where Christian McCaffrey's going. That's what it's about. And while I could be wrong on Derrick Henry, and he could avoid all the red X's and the ball could land in the green spot, and he could have a great year. For sure, it could happen. It's possible. But how many red X's, how many bad spots in the roulette wheel does a guy like Derrick Henry have with 920 plus carries to his name in just a 2.5 year span? The last 2.5 years of his NFL career, he has 920 plus career carries in that small window of time. That roulette wheel is lit up with red X's all over it. And it's not that it can't happen. Even if Henry plays 15 games and balls out for like 14 for 13 of them, has a couple bad games, maybe gets banged up for a game or two, but plays like 15 straight games or a total of 15 games, I'm not going to feel bad about my calculation and what I did because I'm taking a safer player that might have worked out just as well or better, and I'm not even worried about it. So it's all about playing the odds. Do you like the risk going up to the roulette wheel? And if you feel like Henry's got, like in Ron's case, Ron loves Henry. If you feel like Henry has a lot less red X's on the roulette wheel than I do, then that's, I actually appreciate it. I feel like, we're all going to have differing opinions. It's all subjective as to how we view that player's roulette wheel and the odds of risk. There's no formula that tells us what the exact percentage is. You have to trust yourself and your experience and everything that you've put into the game and the sport and learning and absorbing, and how good are you at predicting where risk lies. And if you can predict that well, then you can assess each player individually, and you can step aside and let somebody else take the risk on a CMC. Remember when CMC came back, we had people in the chat, Smitty, running back 1, CMC, you're going to be a laughing stock. Just wait, you're so down on CMC. I told everyone to trade him. The moment he was coming back, I said, get on the phone, talk to everybody you can, and tell them CMC's for sale. Running back 1, CMC running back 1. What happened? Out for the season. How fast did it happen? Very quickly. Could he come back and do well? He certainly could. Am I going to be taking that chance or getting on that train? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. CMC's the best player in fantasy football when healthy. My point exactly, Swaggy. Thank you. Thank you. Ruling. Somebody is offering Diggs, Penny, and Ramondre for Henry. Diggs, Penny, and Ramondre for Henry. I mean, it depends on if it's PPR. The question comes, do you want to have the ability to trade Henry at a little bit higher cost than Diggs cost? But do you really want to put yourself in a position where you've got to make a trade at midseason, worrying about Derrick Henry going down? This is a tough one because Diggs and Henry have very close ADPs in my opinion, or Henry's going a lot higher than him to a lot of people. I would say it depends on your trade prospects, because I would be contemplating what can I move Henry for, but I don't want Henry for 18 weeks. So it depends on if you think you can make a move. Smitty has done it all. He has built an all Chiefs roster. Yeah, man. Remember that? I wanted to go through the motions one year and have every single Kansas City Chief player. And so in a draft, I drafted every single player. And I even made bad trades to get rid of players I consumed because somebody sniped me and took, I think somebody had Tyreek Hill. And I overpaid to get Tyreek Hill to complete the roster. And I wanted to see what would happen with an all-Chief team. And it did not do well. It had good games and bad games, but it did not do well. I don't even know that it made the playoffs, but it was a fun experiment. Now, granted, you aren't going to really go overboard and draft every single player from a team, but I wanted to try it out. Usually you're going to have other players. So if you had like Mahomes, Kelsey, back in the day, Tyreek Hill, Mahomes, Kelsey, and let's say Clyde, you probably have another player or two that could help carry you each week, maybe. And so, it was a fun experiment, but it did not end well. And I'm glad I did it because I've always wanted to try it and see how it do. And with that KC offense that year, it was a good attempt to try and do it. Hey, Smitty, I'm drafting 3 leagues now. How should I go about drafting? Do I worry about drafting a lot of the same players? You want to diversify when you can. I don't avoid like players and take like a much lesser player to try and diversify, but usually you don't have to. Macho, CMC will be dialed back. He only may get 20 touches at most a game. I don't know what we can buy into at this point with coach speak on anybody, to be fair, just to be completely unbiased with this question or this comment. However, it only makes sense that this would be what you would do to try and keep him healthy. So do I think they'll try it? I don't know. That I don't know. I don't know if they'll actually go forward and try and do it. But if they want to keep Christian McCaffrey healthy, who's been the highest percentage of his offense than any other player in the entire National Football League when he's on the field, he's literally by far and away the most utilized part of an offense percentage-wise than anybody. This guy has consumed so much of his offense. There was a time walking before I built the studio, so it was multiple seasons ago, where we had a lot of people saying, "Hey, Smitty, when do we worry about CMC?" And there was a point where we're laughing. We're like, not yet. Like, that's another conversation. But before I built the studio, so a couple seasons ago, we actually, right before the season he got injured, we actually said, this is the year where we say to ourselves, this could be the last year where he's number 1 or 2 or 3. And the volume is so high and heavy on this guy that we're going to have to take it year by year after this season. He got hurt that year. So we were at that point. People have really foggy memories about that, and for some reason, because he hasn't been utilized for 2 years, everybody thinks he's just going to be fresh and ready to go. There's a reason his body's breaking down. There's a reason why he little injuries are getting, little knickknacks are taking him out, is because his body's been overworked to a degree like no other player in the NFL. When you were the number 1 fantasy football player in fantasy football for multiple years in a row, or you're high volume top 3 guy, you're getting fed more than everybody else in the entire league. You're getting utilized, and the percentages absolutely prove that with him. He's number 1 utilized player percentage of his offense when he's on the field. And when you are when you get utilized to that degree, you are very much overworked more than anybody else in the league, and so you're going to break down quickly. There's a reason. Look, I went through this song and dance with Todd Gurley. If you think it bothers me to see everybody think and push back on the Christian McCaffrey stuff, you should have seen how much negativity and hate was driven my direction with this no Todd Gurley movement that we had the year he was still getting drafted 1, 2, or 3 coming out of the Super Bowl where he wasn't used. Your boy Smitty was on YouTube going, no Todd Gurley, no Todd Gurley, no Todd Gurley. I think it was the 5,000 or 10,000 times. I forget which one I did on that video. I got so much pushback on that for months, and his ADP started to slowly drop. I'm used to it. I'm not worried about what people think of me. I'm here to tell you what I feel. And am I right all the time? No. But do I feel like I need to sound an alarm on Christian McCaffrey being the number 1 or number 2 or number 3 overall player? Absolutely. And I think the historical trending of what's been going on with CMC pretty much backs up the stance I'm shoving out there, that you need to be more careful. And you can't expect this guy to literally come out and be a top 3 guy locked. And you got safer options, you might want to explore them. Christian McCaffrey is a big, big, big red flag. Whether you believe in him or not, you have to acknowledge you're taking as much risk as you are trying to, absorb the upside. Christian McCaffrey is one of the biggest risks in fantasy football 2022 because his ADP and cost of entry is not dropping. He's going in the top 5. There are people that literally are dumbfounded when they find this channel or go anywhere where people are thinking differently and they see that you don't have Christian McCaffrey 1, or somebody will ask me a question in the comments that's brand new to the channel, and I respect them and I want them to stay. I'm not saying it's a negative, but they'll say something like, hey, the number 1 is, who are we going at number 1, JT or Christian McCaffrey? And I know that person's brand new. And then I introduce myself and I say, I'm Smitty and welcome to the show. But like, people assume that those are the 2 players that I'm debating. Hey, Smitty, which one are we going? CMC or JT? And it's like, CMC is not even in my consideration. I'll take all 3 of the wide receivers over Christian McCaffrey. All 3 of the top dog wide receivers at a PPR over McCaffrey. All day long. Punch that thumb up button on your way in the door. Appreciate you all being here. Terry says, no way Walker is ready for week 1. He will miss 4 to 5 weeks into the season. I don't think it's going to be that far, Terry, because it's not a sports hernia. But I do believe you are correct that it's not going to be rose petals and buttercups and butterflies for week 1. But will he be out 4 to 5 weeks? No, it's not. If it was a sports hernia, he could be out. He could be out months. But it's not a sports hernia. The news broke that it is a different hernia. Positioning, all that stuff matters. Severity, all that matters. There's no blanket time frame you can put on a hernia. But if it's not a sports hernia, we're looking at a lot better, bro. I think he'd definitely be ready for week 2 or 3 or whatever. Would I be shocked if he had a setback or something? No. ETN definitely to the moon. ETN's absolute moon man.
The moon men, dropping loads in outer space.
What do we do with this guy? I'm not taking him off the moon man list, but it wouldn't be crazy to do this just to give Hurts the proper respect that he deserves and warrants, and to make sure that we're evaluating the ADP and cost of entry and opportunity of Walker appropriately. I think this could end up being a pretty good swap out. So we'll put Hurts there because Hurts is headed to the moon in a way that I think is going to absolutely win leagues. Walker will eventually get there, but I want to make sure this list represents the current moon men, like the guys that are out there in space, in the spacesuits right now. So we'll leave Walker on the moon men list for sure, but he's in a reserve role, ready to explode. I think I missed that it wasn't a sports hernia. Yeah, that news broke. Right, we went live because of it. So this live stream launched a whole hour early, and it was to break that specific news. Don't expect much early, even before the hernia, says Michael. Yeah, that's the thing that people need to understand is, like, this might not change the trajectory at all for his climb into the lineup. He still might have not done it until week 5 or 6 anyway, fully. So, where are we at? Shoot for the moon, land among the satellites for Kenneth Walker. I like that. Where's Ayuk at on the moon man list? He's not a moon man, but I think he's got a lot of upside and appeal, bro. A lot of upside and appeal. Smitty has already got to that question. Let's see. Let's go to the voicemails. Let's go to the voicemails.
It's voicemail time. Drop a voicemail at the Fantasy Football Show on the gram. Tell your grandma.
I don't know if we've got to these questions yet. We will see if these are old.
Hey, Smitty, here's an example. What's your thoughts on getting, like, let's say you get a Joe Mixon, and then later on in the draft, you get a Burrow. What's your thoughts on that? You got Burrow and Mixon. With both of them on the same team, aren't you capping your upside, so to speak?
So when you do multiple players from the same team, actually, let's go to the marker board over here. Let's take this to this marker board. So in the case of drafting multiple players to multiple teams, can you guys hear me okay? I think we're good on the volume. When you're taking, like, let's use an example of 2021. Okay? So in 2021, when you would take a guy like Tyreek Hill in 2021, again, this is last year, you take Tyreek Hill right here, you take Mahomes, would kind of go here, and people would say you shouldn't take Mahomes here, but if you wanted to own him, Mahomes would go this early. You would have two pieces of your team. your draft capital tied up in a first and second round pick. So if the Chiefs did bad or Mahomes did bad, because Hill can't do very well if Mahomes has a bad game or whatever, you have literally just these secondary guys to kind of carry your team, and that firepower is not quite, there to I think carry you week in and week out, where you kind of have a vulnerable team to the Kansas City Chief offense and what they've got going on. However, you take a guy in 2022, this season, you take a guy like Jamar Chase right here, and you take a guy like Burrow right here, you have yourself a stack above all stacks. This is my favorite stack in fantasy football 2022. My absolute favorite stack. But you have a situation where this stack is so spread out, it's not putting you in a vulnerable spot if the Bengals have a bad game. Because if the Bengals have a bad game, you've got your second round, your third round, your fourth round, your fifth round, a ton of draft capital, a ton of firepower to carry your team in the event that the Bengals have a bad game. So a lot of it depends on where these are. So if you say Burrow and Mixon, and Mixon's going right here, you don't have a lot of draft capital. You have even less draft capital tied up in the Bengals offense. So is it risky? No. You've got a player here, you got a player here, here, and it's not going to hold you back if anything goes wrong. So hopefully that answers the question for you and gives you perspective as to what really could take you out and make you a very vulnerable team to one team. Mixon and Burrow are very spread out. They're not together, both high draft capital guys. Burrow is an absolute steal. Adam says, hey, Smitty, love the show. 12-team Superflex. Keep Justin Jefferson in the third or Mike Williams in the ninth. JJ in the third. As much as I like Mike Williams, as much as that value is really good, JJ in the third is plenty good and puts you in a prime position to dominate. And the question is, do you have a better team with that third round player and Mike Williams, or JJ and a player downstream? I think you can land that player downstream like a Dameon Pierce or somebody, and you're going to like your JJ and Dameon Pierce better than liking Mike Williams in the third rounder in a keeper format where the third round's essentially a fourth round pick. You know what I mean? So give me JJ all day. Tips for drafting from the 8 spot in a 12-man PPR league. Yeah, if one of the big 3 wide receivers fall, Kupp, Jefferson, Chase, smash it. If not, I'm loving Swift in PPR. I love Najee at that spot. Those are 2 of my go-tos, and you should be able to get at least one of them. I'd probably rank them in order: the wide receivers, then Najee, then DeAndre Swift. That's how I do it, broski. Smitty school in session. That's right, Ryan. That's how we do it. Like Ayuk as my wide receiver 3-4. I could get on board with that. I mean, 3-4 is fine. I mean, 4 is better. You all trade Dameon Pierce and a 2023 first for Kenneth Walker and a 2025 second. No, I mean, look, this is hard for me to say. As of this moment, Dameon Pierce is on the way up. This is me being real with you. This is me not digging my heels in. I love Kenneth Walker. But Kenneth Walker has a certain value and cost of entry that you either play the game or you put yourself in a position where you get burned. Kenny Walker is valued so low right now. You have every opportunity to own a boatload of shares at a good, reasonable value that is baked in to the situation. Okay? Dameon Pierce in a 23 first is worth more than Kenny Walker right now. Whether you like Kenny Walker or not, you got to play the game. You got to sell stocks, buy low and sell stocks appropriately, not try and buy what you think it's going to be someday. You can't buy a $100 stock at $200 because you are almost certain it will someday be worth $400. You have to buy a $100 stock at $100, not at $200. So it might surprise you to hear me say this, but Dameon Pierce is on the way up. Pierce in the 2023 first are just worth more than Kenny Walker. And that's not a knock on Walker. That's a realistic evaluation of the current climate, and you got to take advantage of those things as an owner and be smart and make decisions like that along the way. You have to make decisions, proper decisions as an owner. Separate what you feel is going to happen when the ADP and cost of entry doesn't make sense. And that's a real answer from somebody that loves Kenny Walker, bro. You got to play the game properly, and otherwise you end up getting hit and you end up getting hurt. Smitty, keep Javonte 3rd round or Jefferson 4th round. Jefferson 4th round. I mean, think about it from this perspective, RP. Who are you taking first in a draft anyway? You're taking JJ. JJ's got a deeper keeper value. So, like, you know, if they were both in the 4th round, you'd still say JJ. But the fact that JJ's got the better keeper round, the later draft selection you're writing him into, and you take him higher than Javonte anyway, like it's like a double, you know, confirmation that the answer is JJ without a question or hesitation. I think it's raining. Hey Smitty. I drafted Lance and Tua in a 2 QB fantasy league, and am I in trouble? I do have Lamb, Chase, and Cook. No, you're not in trouble. I mean, Tua's an acceptable second quarterback. Lance is an absolutely acceptable quarterback. One, are you running the risk a little bit? That maybe a little, but it's a risk we're taking. Like, I'm not worried about that. Make sure Davis Mills isn't available or something crazy like that, bro. I love Davis Mills. All right, Terry.
What I mean is, Cap, and you're upside on your fantasy team.
Yeah, thank you, Terry.
Hey, Smitty, with this news that Joe Burrow's appendix ruptured, how far does this drop his value to greatness for us?
Joe Burrow is fine. Joe Burrow is a monster. Joe Burrow is an absolute machine. Don't worry about Joe Burrow. If Joe Burrow drops at all, that's fantastic news for all of us. Joe Burrow is completely going to be fine, bro. Kenneth Walker, I'm trying to think. Some of these messages, how old are they?
And I mean greatness because we're going to get a better value out of our...
We're already seeing him drop a round and a half in some cases.
Hey, Smitty, can you break down why you're lower than consensus on Michael Pittman?
You know, I don't know why everybody's got him so high. I like Pittman. Pittman's one of those guys, he falls into the Akers, Deontay, almost like that underdog player that people just absolutely love. The Higgins over Jamar Chase. Some people are like pro Higgins, and it's just that underdog mentality. It's always the same type of person that loves Pittman in the top of round 3 and will literally argue to the end of the earth that he's worth the top of round 3. It's not that I don't like him. I like Pittman. If you ask me this question a certain way, you're going to get a very positive answer. Like, what do you think Pittman's going to do in 2022? I think Pittman could have a great year. I think Pittman could flirt with big top wide receiver 1 to 2 type numbers, or at least elite wide receiver 2 numbers. He could flirt with those numbers. But Pittman isn't a guy we're locking into 3rd round value, or at least I'm not locking into 3rd round value until he proves it. That's like coming in at a high point and saying, I just want to pay the highest value possible because I want to be a part of it. Like, I get it. I mean, you do that with 1st round guys, right? But to go after Pittman as a 3rd drafted player, I mean, if it's like late 3rd drafted player, it's one thing, but to take him like at 3.2, 3.4, I see him go that high and I'm like scratching my head. Like, how on earth, like, could he get there? Sure. But how on earth is he deserving of that yet? You know? So I don't think we can put Pittman in the top of the 3rd yet. That doesn't mean I don't think I'm that much lower on him. I just think you need to go. He's a good 4th drafted player. He has a lot of upside and room to improve. But taking him at the top of 3. The phone line's open right now, Doug. You can keep saying you tried calling. You say that every time. The phone line's open right now. Dial right now, Doug. Dial right now, Doug. And let's see if you even call, because I don't think you'll call. I don't think you'll ever call. Phone line's open for you. Let's see if you're for real.
Hey, Smitty, can you break down...
The Bruce.
Cool. Hey, Smitty, what do we think of this report that supposedly Aaron Rodgers isn't happy with his receiving core? You think it's a lie, or you think that he's really disappointed in the people they brought in?
The thing about A-Rod is A-Rod will oftentimes... Yeah, Doug, I don't hear you calling, bro. That's what I thought. The thing is, you don't hear A-Rod... You hear A-Rod speak a lot of truth. He doesn't really beat around the bush. The question is, are the reports being, twisted up? And a lot of people speak for A-Rod, so it's hard to know. But it wouldn't shock me if A-Rod was like bluntly honest that he's disappointed here, disappointed there. I mean, what do you expect? Not you, Bruce, but what does anybody expect? Out of a wide receiver room that goes from Devontae Adams, which makes a lot of the wide receivers around him better because they see lesser coverage and all that, less pressure. But I mean, of course he's going to be disappointed. But Dubs is the guy I think could be the savior. I think Dubs could be a special player. But A-Rod might need more than one, season to create a monster out of him, but maybe he does do well. Doug, I don't understand. I'm waiting, Doug. We're waiting, Dougie. Dougie says these things like I've tried to call. I've tried to call Smitty. Just waiting here for Doug. Yeah, I mean, and to Ron's point, A-Rod's always honest. He's always honest. The way people twist up his words is one thing, but I haven't heard the full interview yet, to be honest. But yeah, he's not happy. I know that. I've heard a lot of clips and of people speaking about it and breaking it down too. And I always wonder. You always wonder what's going on in this guy's head. I mean, he's definitely an odd bird. Like, as much as I love A-Rod is a strange guy. The way he talks about, his euphoric states and such. I mean, he's definitely a strange guy. Yeah, Doug's not calling in. Doug's always got some excuse. Terry.
Hey, Smitty. Terry here. When it comes to stacking in my league that we're in, we also give out, besides the 6 points for the quarterback touchdown pass, 6 points for the receiver, running back, tight end pass catch as well. We also reward a bonus 6 points for 40 yards and over to the house. So now you're looking at 6 points for the touchdown pass for the quarterback, plus another 6 points for that 40 plus, and for the receiver, 6 points for the touchdown catch, and the 6 points for that 40 plus as well. So stacking is big time in my league. Guys love to try and stack, and there's always guys that try to prevent that from happening. When a guy has, let's say, Jamar Chase, and at some point they're expecting him to draft Joe Burrow, there'll be one guy from the league that will actually draft Joe Burrow just to keep him from getting that stack.
I mean, yeah, bro, to be honest with you, that league is, I mean, as fun as it could be, you're just, like, how do you provide content for that? You don't play in that league, you don't support that league from a content creator perspective, you're not going to get, like, accurate, like, advice. Like, I never understand why somebody would create a league and have it so that the scoring isn't even something that you've ever seen before. Like, how are you supposed to find content to support that? I don't know what to tell you, Terry. Terry, this is me not yelling at you or anything. It's just like maybe you are the commissioner, but the commissioner to create such a league, like, you'd have to play in it. Like, what if you bring a newbie in? They're not going to know what to do. I wouldn't know what to do walking in that league. I could only make my best educated guess, and I'd probably have to go through a year. It'd be like playing fantasy football for the first season. You're always going to be bad at fantasy football your first year as you adjust to what the NFL's like versus fantasy football. And it's like, that's crazy to me. But, I mean, you're going to have the knowledge for your league on that, bro. Would I love to stack? Absolutely. If you're getting all kinds of, bonus points, sure. Sure.
Hey, Smitty, Terry here. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, Denny's calling in.
Not being happy that they got to step up these young guys.
He's Denny.
Smitty, are we going live? Smitty, we going live?
He's Denny. He's Denny. What's up, Denny? Denny's in the house, baby. What's up, Denny boy? Denny, I don't know if you can see the show right now, if you're able to watch, but you've got an intro. You've got your own intro.
I have an intro?
You have your own. Can you watch right now? Want me to play it again?
Yeah. I'm outside. I'm in the backyard.
Okay,
I wouldn't mind hearing it.
Okay,
Yeah,
you wouldn't mind hearing it. At 1 hour and 39 minutes into the show, you can replay it later. I'm gonna play your intro. 1 hour and 39 minutes. Here we go.
He's Denny. Denny. He's Denny.
Smitty, did we just become best friends?
I don't know, Denny. I think you have 170 best friends, all watching right now, Denny. They all love you.
Smitty, you want to do karate in the garage?
Let's do karate in the garage, Denny. Let's do it. Bunk beds. We'll build bunk beds together. All right, hey Denny, what do you got for me today?
What? Ooh, Jesus! Is Walker hurt? I don't even know. I'm just trying to say hi. I don't even care. I'm not trying to be smarter than you. I hear still people trying to be smarter than you. Pissing me off. Is Walker hurt or some shit?
He had a hernia. It was really bad news. It became better news, and then so forth.
All right. So here's also what I have. Zach Wilson.
Same old, right? Yep, Zach may be ready for week 1, maybe not. Kenneth Walker may be ready for week 1, maybe not. Both of them probably won't be ready for week 1, but could certainly be ready for week 2 or 3. So,
you know what I love about you, Smitty? Yeah. But then they go to Falco, whatever his name is, the Italian kid. No, you like that freaking Mike White though, huh? You guys gonna love that guy. No, Flacco. Yeah. Freaking Mike White.
I like Mike White. I'd go in the garage and play karate with Mike White and you, bro. We could be 3 best friends. I love Mike White. What else you got?
All right, Hall. Yeah, I got Hall. You know what? I grabbed him? I grabbed him in a fantasy league. I'm only in 3 fantasy leagues. That's it. Some people go, yeah, I got him in a league. No, I'm in 3 dynasty leagues. All right, and and we meet when we draft. And that's what we do. But
that's what you're born to do, Denny.
Smith. No, I freaking kind of like this. Yeah, I know you like Breece Hall. You know what I mean? I'm freezing to the quiet.
Yeah, I love Breece Hall.
What do you do over there, all right? Just talk to me. You're supposed to talk.
Okay, I'll talk to you. Denny, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. We're going to play a trivia game, or we're going to play a prediction game. Denny, who scored? Just give me one word answers. Tell me the player. Who scores more in 2022 fantasy football end of season? Who scores more, Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts?
Joe Burrow, or who was the second guy?
Jalen Hurts.
Burrow. Come on, man.
Okay.
That's a layup.
Burrow, layup.
Give me something harder. Give me something harder.
Let's give Denny something hard. Okay. Right. Guys, ask questions for Denny. Anybody got a question? DK Metcalf.
All right.
Or
I kind of like that guy a lot.
I mean, yeah. Or Terry Scary McLaurin. DK Metcalf or Terry Scary McLaurin. Go.
Who's the second guy, by the way?
Terry McLaurin.
Metcalf.
Okay, Metcalf.
I don't even care who's throwing. It's probably going to be Drew Lock throwing them bobs.
No, I think I don't think
it ain't gonna be Geno Smith.
Everybody says that, but I think it's Geno, bro. It's Geno. First of all, Drew Lock got the 19.
You think so? But,
yeah.
I don't even want to be right, but I think Drew. Oh, and let me say he got COVID now. That's why they're benching him.
Yeah. Okay.
They just make up the fact that he has COVID. But no,
all right.
They just don't want him.
Denny, I got two more for you. I got 2 more for you. Damian Pierce or or A.J. Dillon? Dameon Pierce or A.J. Dillon? Dameon Pierce is the rookie running back for the...
All right. I know you like this Pierce guy, and I don't even know. Like, I haven't been studying enough, but he's like coming out of nowhere, this Pierce guy. But Dillon, Dillon, Pierce, guaranteed. You know what? I'll put a month's pay on Dillon. Points-wise, come on. I'll put a month's pay on Dillon. Come on, you like this Pierce guy? It's a little cute. No, I know what you're doing here, Smitty, and I don't like it. No, I'm just kidding. I love it. No. Dillon's gonna. I'll beat this guy by 100 points. All right, give me another.
Month's pay. Okay. Okay. Let's go. Let's go with the second one. Let's keep with Dameon Pierce because we clearly hit a nerve with Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce or
I just don't know where.
Or Ramondre Stevenson. Dameon Pierce or Ramondre Stevenson.
Who's the second guy again? Say it one more time. I'm sorry.
Like
you had laundry in your mouth.
Laundry in my mouth?
No.
Ramondre Stevenson.
Well, you know where I'm from, right? So you obviously know by my accent where I'm from. And you know how Belichick ain't going to let anybody eat, all right? Nobody's eating. No one's going to be a star. And everyone's getting all hyped on Ramondre Stevenson. But who was that first guy?
Your favorite player, Dameon Pierce.
No.
Brett.
To the moon.
No one's on the clock. Everyone loses here. Pierce is going to lose. You know what? I'll actually, because I'm from Boston, I'll take Ramondre. All right? I'll take that kid. But you know what? As soon as he starts thriving, let's go somewhere else. Nobody can enjoy themselves. Nobody can be.
Okay, Denny.
I remember the old days when.
Denny, we got you, man. Don't worry about it. Hey, let me get you a new name. We'll stop talking about Dameon Pierce. It's raising the blood pressure. Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know what you see in this kid, but I kind of like it, and I'm just pissed because I can't get him on waiver wires, and I've been trying. So that's it. I'm just jealous.
Okay,
I'm just jealous.
Last one.
I can't pick him up anyway.
Yeah, last one, Denny. Mike Thomas.
All right.
Michael Thomas, Saints wide receiver. Michael Thomas or Amon-Ra St. Brown. Michael Thomas or Amon-Ra St. Brown. Who you like more?
St. Brown, because I actually saw him make some nice. Yeah, I saw him make a nice shake and bake. I saw him run a nice route actually. St. Brown. Oh
St. Brown.
God, my sprinklers are going off in my yard, Smitty.
The sprinklers.
I wish I was lying. Smitty, my sprinklers are going off in my yard.
That's
St. Brown. St. Brown all day. Smitty, I love you.
All right, Denny. I'll talk to you later, pal. We'll talk to you later, pal. Get.
Smitty in the best. Yeah, St. Brown, hands down.
Go run in the sprinklers. Go run in the sprinklers. Have fun.
Oh, remember that movie when he goes Happy Gilmore?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shooting the cabin? Yeah, I just got shooting again. I'll talk to you later.
Bye. The Denny is just a legend. I mean, I probably get more requests for Denny to come on here.
He's Denny. He's Denny.
Try calling back in one more time. Sorry about that. I missed it. You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. Who am I talking to? You're live on the show. You're no longer live on the show. You gotta be prepared. You're live on the show. Who am I talking to?
Smitty, it's Mud Dog.
Mud Dog, what's up, my man?
How are you?
Oh, pretty good.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
I want to write this one down a little. There's a couple of things I'm curious about here.
Okay.
I want you to rank these running backs.
I'm ready.
And what round you would start to look to grab.
Hit me.
All right?
Okay.
Dillon, Hunt, CEH, Pollard, Stevenson, Walker, Madison, Herbert, Algier.
Okay. We're getting a little bit too long there. Let's keep it simple. We'll go with the first grip of guys you said. We can't go through the whole league.
Dillon, Hunt.
Dillon is
Hunt, CEH, Pollard, and Stevenson.
Yeah. Dillon's like I don't know. I mean, everybody in the chat toss out a round you would the earliest you would take Dillon. I think round 6, 7 is where you're going to see him go. I think 5 is too early. I don't think I'd go 5. I would say Hunt is probably around 7. I would say Clyde's around 7, 8. I would say Pollard's around 7. Stevenson's now climbing into 6, 7. Walker's now like 9. So,
So that late, huh?
Yeah. Walker for sure. So Dillon's around 6, 7.
Yeah, because I got draft coming on Saturday, so these guys are guys I'll be targeting later. So I'm just figuring out roughly what round I should start reaching for these guys.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. Flow of drafts means a lot too. You don't want to take these guys in the round. I'm saying.
What are you thinking of Robinson kid from Washington? You think he's moving up the charts quick? Should I keep an eye out earlier or let him try to fall in the late round?
I mean, B-Rob is really an intriguing player right now. Gibson is the handcuff. Brian Robinson's the starter. Gibson is the handcuff. But what I think people are going to do, this is the nature of the psychology behind all this, right? Is that you're disappointed with Gibby right now, right? You don't want to own Gibby. People that own Gibby want to wash their hands of him and give. You could almost offer anything to a Gibby owner, and you could probably get Gibby pretty cheap. Gibby's now become a very good handcuff. Gibby's a very, very good handcuff. Like Gibby's on the Madison level. Like there, as much as we want to hate Gibby, we want to say Gibby's trash, whatever. Gibby going in handcuff territory makes him one of the better win-a-league type handcuffs in fantasy football. So people need to reassess their way of looking at Gibby, because Gibby's not a starter anymore. And B-Rob is the guy. B-Rob will pass him. You'll be taking B-Rob before you take Gibby. And I don't know how high Gibby could climb. He could climb into the 6th, 7th round. It all depends on what he looks like, how where the buzz is. Right now he's probably 8. 7, 8, 9. I don't know. I mean, we don't really know. We don't have a good feel of where Brian Robinson, the rookie running back for the Washington football team, commanding field general presidents. That's what we're talking about. If anybody doesn't know, Brian Robinson, the rookie running back for the Commanders, where does he go? We don't know. No one knows where his ADP truly is. But I mean, he certainly is going to climb.
What round would you?
So let me give you an example. There's
what round would you look to get?
My best guess on where Brian Robinson's going to go is still around 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like, seriously, that big of a range. One person said they got him around 16. He was available in 2 of my leagues 3 days ago on waivers. He didn't get drafted. So it's a wide range. Complete wide range.
Right.
It really is going to depend on how this news is affected, how quickly this news trickles into. There's a lot of people that don't stay on top of things. Like there's people in here saying Gibby's going around 7 still in their most recent draft. Who knows how long it takes for it to adjust? But I mean, I don't know that I'd take him any earlier than you have to. That's for sure. I think Brian Robinson's so far down on the pre-rank list, and there's no way ADP data or pre-rank lists have adjusted yet to the news that Gibson is running with the third team. Gibson is doing a part of special teams now. His fumble, his bad preseason play, the pre-rank lists are not even close to updating to that. And there's a really, really, really good chance that before week 1 kickoff, we don't see a single change in his ADP or his pre-rank list. So that means that Robinson's not going to be pressured or the pre-rank list won't pressure anybody to take him. And so we're probably looking at B-Rob being a steal the remainder, hit and miss, but a steal on and off all the remainder of the 2022 draft season. So don't reach more than you have to. You could get him in double-digit rounds, but I'm just saying he could climb.
Right. I was thinking round 10 was when I was going to probably go for him, but
Sure.
I didn't want to be too early on it.
Well, look at the rank.
Train, you know what I mean?
Yeah, look at the rank. If he's still way down there, you don't have to take him in 10. You know, so it's all up to that pre-rank. I can't guide you. Every platform will be different too.
Okay. Now I know you really love Rashaad White around round 10. Do you think that I should target Robinson if he's right there with White at that same time over White, or you still like White better?
I like B. Robinson more than I like Rashaad White right now, quietly, because he's getting goal line work right now. He's going to get maybe 8 to 10 touchdowns in my mind right now. Whereas I love Rashaad White, but Rashaad White, like, you got to be honest with yourself and say, okay, he's still got to have things happen. And I think they will, but he's more of a longer shot, bet right now than Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson, before that game when Gibson fumbled the football and pretty much fumbled his opportunity away. I mean, you're talking about he was already losing his goal line carries. Brian Robinson was already the goal line back walking into that preseason game. So Gibby is now one of the better handcuffs in fantasy football. That's gonna be hard for a lot of people. Will not accept that because they're gonna hate Gibby. But he flipped from a starter to a backup. And at some point, you got to reassess that and go, okay, Gibby could win a league as a cuff or a standalone, like, sleeping giant now. Like, I'm not saying Gibby is worth taking in even round 8 anymore. But when you're talking about drafting all of these backups that are not starters, like Rashaad White, Gibby's right there. Gibby's home run, league-winning potential now in his new reserve role. Because if Brian Robinson got hurt, Gibby would certainly get shoved out there. But don't take him any higher than you have to.
Okay. Even Madison was surprised because Cook always seems to get hurt. Every mock I do, I'm getting Madison 12, 13, 14th round.
Yep.
I feel like that's so late that
I love Madison,
people are forgetting about him or they're sleeping on him. But I just feel like if I try to wait that long, somebody's going to get crazy like the ninth round grab him. I'm going to go, damn, I could have got him earlier, but he's just been falling in every draft. I just don't know where to get him with ADPs. That kind of like got my head all over the place. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It is weird though. Like, I saw a couple comments, and I'm not sure if these are meant negatively toward what I said, or they're joking about the ironicness of the ADPs. But someone said you can't take. How can you pick a cuff before a starter? Says Michael, and again, I don't know what Michael was meaning by that, but it's a good comment to what I'm trying to say. It's like Brian Robinson still, according to the pre-rank list, he's going to be shoved into the forefront of people's minds at the end of the draft. If they aren't on top of it going, okay, who do I take here? Oh, I'm going to scroll all the way down and take Brian Robinson. Like, you'd have to you got to be cognizant of it. You got to have you have to have it on your mind, the forefront of your mind. You have to have another set of rankings that you have that are sitting there saying, I moved Brian Robinson up. Because any rankings you print out from anywhere, any rankings that are used in the software, no one's rankings are going to have Brian Robinson appropriately ranked. So the person that is going to get cute and draft him way above his actual pre-rank list or ADP has to somehow have moved him up personally or written his name down or something. They're not going to even be thinking about him. And so, to this point of Michael's, you literally, if you want to own both Washington runners, and I'm not saying it's a great plan of attack, but let's say you botch the running back 2 drafting. You've done an awful job. You sharded the bed, and you don't have a running back 2. You technically could get Gibby and B. Rob and actually fill that hole pretty nicely if in a botched scenario. Not one you'd want to go attack, but like if you had no other option, and you'd have to draft Gibby ahead of B-Rob. So to this point, you would be drafting the backup over the starter and then drafting the starter later. I mean, that's just the way it would be. At some point, I do think they will change and you'll see B-Rob go higher, but maybe we won't. Maybe the ADPs, like I said, may not adjust enough in time because we don't have a ton of time left.
Yeah, I'm hoping to steal him in the 12th, 13th, 14th round, and on Saturday, and these guys haven't adjusted yet. That'd be great.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
I got one other quick question. One other quick question for you. So I'm hearing a lot of talk about everybody saying that rounds 3 through 6 are known as the running back dead zone. How do you feel about that?
People are trying to make up a buzzword to, it's drier, but is it dead? No, I mean, ETN, Breece Hall, these guys live there, and they're fantastic picks. Elijah Mitchell's in like 5, but they're running backs. It's a lot thinner, It's a lot thinner, but I don't know. I call it a dead zone. So
yeah, like I said, that's the buzz I hear.
Yeah, I'll probably create a video on it because that's the terminology people are using for it. But I'll probably say it's not dead. It's it's a kind of a ghost town. But I mean, you look at the list of players. Like, let me pull up some consensus data, and I'll give you my take on the running backs in the supposed dead zone. So the dead zone's like what, 3-4, roughly.
3 through 6 are saying roughly. So
yeah.
Like Paul, ETN, Elijah Mitchell, all those guys I like, but they're saying it's a dead zone. That's when you're supposed to ignore running back, go wide receiver, go tight end, go quarterback.
Yeah. So
I guess the numbers don't every year show up good in those areas.
Breece Hall, ETN, Elijah Mitchell would still fall in that category then. I mean, it is dry. I don't know. I don't know if I call it dead because there's at least one of those running backs every 7 picks, but I mean, it is drier. Yeah. It is drier for sure. I mean, see, here's the thing. Monty's falling out of that now. JK, I'm not going near. Gibson's falling out of it now. I would say it's becoming a dead zone now. It hasn't been a dead zone because there have been these potential options. Like even Gibby was an option in 5 or 4 or 5, and then it moved to 6, then it moved to 7, then it moved to 8. I would say dead zone's more appropriate now than it ever was. That's for sure. Like I'm looking at right now, there literally are only 3 running backs in the
3 or 4 rounds that's there.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Well, that's what I was thinking about going Swift and Javonte, like you said, at the 10 spot, double up, and then rounds 3 through 5 or 3 through 6, just load up on, maybe a Herbert or something, and then 3 or 4 receivers or a tight end, and just kind of stay out of that dead zone. And then I guess it's supposed to get better after round 7 or 8. You start to get the Stevensons, the Walkers.
Maybe I'll do a video on how the dead zone didn't exist, but now it does. Like people have been using the term for a while, but now it actually really is getting to become a ghost town zone. There really aren't a lot in there in that range. I mean, just because Monty, Gibby, they're all dropping out as of the last week or two. Hold on 1 second for me.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to hang tight, or I'm gonna hang up on this call, and then call back in a few if you have another question.
You guys, thanks, man.
Yeah. All right, guys, bear with me 1 second. All right. After Hall, ETN, it is bad. Like, here's what I was saying. I was gonna say that dead zone. I didn't like the word dead zone. I thought dead zone was overused, and it was. But it's starting to look real. It's starting to look like a real term. To be honest, looking through. Let's go from number 28 on. Zeke Elliott potentially could fall in that third round, but a lot of people are taking Zeke in like the second round right now. So Zeke could be one of the running backs that you're actually looking at. You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. Who am I talking to? What's up, man?
Smitty, it's Zach.
What's up, Zach?
I've called a few times to hear about your auction concept, but my draft is tomorrow, and I know you've kind of switched off between what your favorite strategy is, and I want to hear what your favorite strategy is right now for my auction draft tomorrow. Do I go Jamar and Burrow, or do I go Javonte and Swift, or do I go Hall, Etienne, Javonte? Give me your best auction squad.
I don't know that I've changed anything. So you said that you know that I've changed my auction strategy. I don't think I've changed my auction strategy. Mine's pretty much been the same all offseason. I'm definitely going to advise you to try and win some of these players like JT and Najee and Kupp and Jefferson and Chase and so on, right? But you got to actively try and bid because you don't want somebody to just like accidentally get them at a low value. So you got to be active even when you aren't targeting certain players. But at the same time, you don't want to overbid and get stuck. Too many people try and like do some kind of weird high bid, like when the person's near the end of the road. Like don't try and finagle people out of a couple bucks when it could make you end up being forced to take the player. But you definitely want to be active in the players that you would be happy owning. Like if you're not targeting JT because he's too expensive, at least play the game for as long as you can. And then if he goes too high, then boom, that's fine. You know, a lot of money just went off the board. So that person's not going to be able to buy Javonte at the price they would have had they not won JT at a high value. But my strategy's been the same the whole time. It's like I wouldn't mind going after Jamar Chase first. You know, like don't call him out. Let somebody else call him out. And if he doesn't get called out, then keep doing your normal routine. When you're on the clock to throw a name out you don't want that's really going to go for a lot of dollars, and then let everybody just spend money. But like if you take Jamar Chase and then you use the remaining money to try and get Javonte and Swift and Hall and those guys and St. Brown, and then you get Burrow. Like that is a typical strategy. I will, even though I don't cement myself into anything, that is one that I feel like overall the values will be good on average, and I will go and try and acquire them. So I'll definitely use that strategy. Like Chase and Burrow is pretty much my favorite strategy in fantasy football 2022, whether it's auction, redraft, doesn't matter. Like that is a stack that I want.
So how much is too much to spend on like one of those top players like Jamar, for example? Because I know on ESPN he's projected to go for like 65, but that feels like so much of my money going towards one player.
Just try and get Kupp out there. Try and get JJ out there to set a baseline bid on JJ, and if he goes for like 58, like and you win him, it's like great, you know. But I think you could probably get him for around 55 to 60, and I think that's acceptable. What you don't want is to end up getting to a point where like you have no players and you start getting to like ETN and he's the best option, and then you have to spend, a boatload on ETN. You're spending 45 on ETN because some guy's going to just bid with you left and right, and you're like, come on, like this is the only person that's going to upbid ETN to the same value a guy went that's a top 5 running back. Like you're going to get screwed. And then if you're like, I'm not doing that, I'm not letting him strong arm me, then you have all this money and nobody left. Like. So it's not bad to overspend a little bit, like 55 to 60 bucks on one player. 70's getting a little hefty. But how many times have you left an auction where you have another extra $15 that, man, if I just would have added that to this player, I could have got JT. So it's kind of like a overspend on one, like a Jamar Chase, and then try and use everybody's like, okay, I need to penny pinch right now to try and land that ETN, to try and land that Swift, to try and land, those guys. But
right. My other question was when it gets to like the end of the draft, when like players are going for like $3, $2, $1, those type of players, when you're trying to get a sleeper, should you throw them out and then like have the chance of other people bidding on them? Like, how do you get sleepers late in the draft and auction?
I mean, that's a tough one because if you have one player, I love how the Zigmeister is recommending a song to me right now randomly called Denny. Something Denny. It's listening. These things listen to you, bro. Like out of nowhere, it's recommending playing a song called Denny. Unbelievable. The Zigmeister. So, what else you got? Oh, sorry. What was the last question you answered? Sorry, I got distracted.
How do you get sleepers in an auction draft? Because I want to get them for like $1, $2, maybe even $3, but I don't want to end up spending so much for a sleeper.
Yeah, I think you obviously want to, if you have like a couple bucks and nobody has a couple bucks, that's the most ideal, because then when you can call them out. Like if everybody's got a buck or two and you've got $4, you don't have to be afraid of calling the player out because you have the ability to outbid anybody. So if you're in a position where you have no money and a couple people have $10, you want to wait, man. You want to wait. If you've got $0, it's a tough spot to be in, because if you have $0 and the person with $10 calls your player out and they win them for $1, you can't even bid. So it's kind of a touch and go thing, a case by case basis type of thing, because you may have $1 left for each player, so you have like no money left. And if you throw that player out for $1, the person with $10 might not want them, whereas somebody else could do it and you can't bid on it. So it's a touch and go, case by case situation. There's no real answer. He's got to go with the flow. Like anything, you got to go with the flow.
Right. All right. Thanks, Smitty. I appreciate it. By the way, your show has just gotten so much better throughout like the last couple of years. It's gotten so much better. I love your content. It's amazing.
I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you. Call back anytime. Later.
Thanks, Smitty.
Yep. Sorry, I have people at the door. I have issues here in the house right now. Nothing emergency but just like distracting issues. And so I'm like not focused on some of the questions. So sorry about not paying attention to that question, Zach. I was a little distracted. Okay, what are we doing here? Play the Denny song again? Sure. Let's do it. Denny, if you're watching, this is your song, buddy boy. This is your song. You ready, Denny?
He's Denny. Denny. He's Denny.
Denny's song. He loves it. New Noah. Can you explain the whiteboard tool that you do with the squares? Can I explain the whiteboard tool that I do with the squares? What do you mean? What do you mean, bro? I mean, I have a whiteboard, but I don't know what you mean by that. I go to the whiteboard all the time. Yeah, I'll probably be live on IG with Raj tonight for sure. We'll be talking foosball. No doubt about it, broski. Smitty. Yes, there are some serious deals at the end of the draft. I mean, yeah, you could get like a Damian Pierce or Brian Robinson, all those guys for $0, for $1, depending on if you have to allocate $1. He's talking about the risk map. Oh, okay. So yeah, we have the risk map. We could definitely go over the risk map. The risk map is pretty cool. We gotta bring the series back on the risk map. The risk map is pretty dope. Let me go ahead and do something real quick. I've got writing all over this board. Let me take a photo of it and then erase it because I was doing some stuff with this. Okay. So here's the risk map. The risk map is very simple. We plot a player on the risk map, and if you want to give me a name to throw out, we'll throw it out. This is the upside from 0 to 10, if it's a player under 5, they're kind of worthless at this point, so we don't even really need to plot them. We could just like kind of say it's down here in the 2 or 3 range. But here's your 5. This is your lack of risk right here, your lack of risk score, meaning that this 10 is the absolute best player for avoiding risk. A 5 is really bad. A 1 or 0 is the worst. So you're if you think of this like a risk score, the reverse of it, the lack of risk. So if we throw a guy like we got ETN, MT, and Zeke. Okay, we'll do it. We'll do it there. MT's got a lot of upside, right? MT's got upside that I don't think he no longer has 10 or 9 upside. He's been out of the game too long, and he's got too much. I don't know. I would say limitations to his body to just bounce back to his old self. Could he still play good football per start? Sure. But is he capable of being his same physical dominating self? I don't think so. So I would say that, does he have the potential to be a 7 or 8 on the upside scale? Let's just say for a second that he did have the ability to be an 8, which would be this green cutoff of being like a really good player. His risk level is in the 5, 6, or 7 range, in my opinion. So at best, this guy can't breach into a positive territory. He's in my opinion, he's probably right around here. This is where I'd put MT. I don't think MT's got any better value than that, which, he's worth owning. He's on this board. This is essentially like, you don't want to be on this board if you're not, or you want to be on this board. If you're not on this board, you probably don't have a ton of value at all to even be worth owning. That's kind of why the cutoff is at 5. Is like, who wants to own a guy that's 4 and 4? A guy like Zeke, he has a lot of upside, but his risk is huge. I don't think he's got 9 or 10 upside anymore. These are guys that are top 5, 10 capable, top 5 at their position, at least capable, top 7, top 5, top 6, whatever. If we're talking about a guy that's you're going to be lucky to get borderline top 10 numbers if everything goes right for him. His risk is huge. I'd probably say he's under an 8 for upside. I don't think he's got 8 upside anymore. I think he did last year. Zeke's 8 upside would be like what he did last year. He was borderline 8 to 11, kind of on and off all year. I think he's below that, so we'll put him below it, just in the red area. But I think his risk is probably around that territory here. The next player was, who did everybody say? There was another good one. It was MT. It was Zeke. And it was ETN. Let's start doing some positive risk map people. So in the case of, I think I actually have some of these already pre-cut. Yeah, I do. Perfect. Let's use some clean ETN. ETN has probably, if I had to guess, I'd say he has certainly has some risk, right, with the foot, but I would say he's in the positive territory across the board. Or if you're even to say he had like a 7 or 8 risk, his upside is probably in the 9 range. I don't think he lives in this unicorn box, which is the top right corner. Very few players are going to live in this unicorn box. So I would say he's on the borderline of 8, 7 for risk, just because of the foot injury. I don't think we can put him in the 8+ area. I think we got to be fair and honest with it. There's some risk. There's situation risk. There's James Robinson everybody's worried about, which I'm not. But there's a lot of things that you could bring up to say that that's why he's not above the 8 barrier. So let's put him at like a 7.5 on risk, but put him at like a 9 on upside. So ETN is a player that is in the positive range for both, because even though his risk is even though his risk is below 8, because he's above this mark here, that below 8 isn't a negative. It doesn't put him in a risk territory, even though he's sub 8. He's below 8 in upside. He's not in the unicorn box, but because he's above that other upside 8 line, he has no red zone territory. Even if he had a risk of let's say 6, he would still be in a positive territory in both categories, even though his lack of risk score is low, because he's so high on this in this territory here. But ETN's about right there. Javonte Williams, I would say Javonte, if I'm being completely honest, I think he is in the unicorn box, but I think he's on the verge of potentially being on that line. You know what I mean? Like Javonte is probably either just slightly in the unicorn box with that 10 upside or 9.5 upside, but maybe he's borderline. Maybe he's on the 8. Maybe you could say Melvin Gordon tearing into his early down work, at least in weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, is enough to put him at 8. And I could understand that. I could accept that. But he's still the highest ranked player on the risk map so far. So far. You take a guy like Justin Jefferson, and you know you're getting a unicorn out of this guy. His upside's 9 or 10. His risk is probably 9. I don't know that very many people are going to score a 10 out of 10 on the risk. There's always going to be a little bit of risk with every player. Jamar Chase is going to be a unicorn. Jamar Chase has probably got similar value to JJ. JT is going to be a unicorn. JT is going to have value that's probably risk going to be in the 8.5 range because he's a running back, but his upside will be 9 to 10. So JT's up in that area. A guy like Smitty hates tall wide receivers. No, I don't. I don't hate tall wide receivers at all. Derrick Henry is going to, we don't need to go on why, because everyone's already knows my stance. Derrick Henry has an upside of like probably right here. I don't think Derrick Henry's falling in this territory, to be honest. I think his risk is very high, or his lack of risk is a low score. Like even if it was 7, because he's just a high risk of getting hurt. He's not a 10 out of 10 of not getting hurt or not having risk. His is probably here, but because his upside is still high, he's actually in a safe territory, but definitely in my mind is not top 5 worthy. It just depends on where you're drafting him. But because he's got that high upside, you could potentially, even if you put his risk at 5, let's just say his risk was 5 or 6, because I really think the guy has a strong chance of getting hurt. His upside for the games played is still at least an 8, let's call it there. He's still in that positive territory, which is a place where I'd trade him, because there's still a lot of trade value there. It's not like everybody else is going to see him like this in here. They're going to see him in this box up here. So I would definitely trade him away though. But his lack of risk is so, his upside of course is he's huge. You know, per start he could be a monster, but will he hold up? That's why he's in this territory. But his upside is so big, he's got great trade value. I would say we'll do one more. Let's go with, let me go with a wide receiver. Let's go with Tyreek Hill. I'd probably say Tyreek Hill's got an upside of 8 or 9. He's got a lack of risk of probably right around this range, if I had to guess, and I'm just spitballing this. I don't think he's a unicorn of any kind, but he's certainly a decent value. Like there's not a whole bunch of risk here. So that's the risk map. Everybody seems to love that. We'll bring it back. We haven't done anything, any part of that this year, and I can even clip this and put it up later, but definitely love the risk map. That's going to do it for today's show. We're ending a little early because we started early. We've been live for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Appreciate everybody joining me. I will see you all later. Thank you for watching. Peace out. I'm live Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. You can find me on smitty1.com or thefantasyfootballshow.com. You can get your one-on-one text device, bold predictions, rankings, everything you can think of at thefantasyfootballshow.com. Trade calculator, dynasty content, bold predictions, but probably one of the most important things is that one-on-one text advice. Go get it at thefantasyfootballshow.com. Appreciate you all. Great show today. Great news for Kenneth Walker. Hopefully he can get out there by week 1 or 2. Let's be a little bit cautiously optimistic and not just take that week 1 Pete Carroll positive news, as if it's like law. Appreciate you all. And as always, anytime news breaks, I try and go live here on the YouTube channel. And that's just how we roll. I'll see you all tomorrow, maybe tonight for mock drafts. I'm not sure yet. Peace out. Hit that thumb up button on your way out the door. Appreciate you all. See you maybe tonight for mock drafts. Not sure. We'll see. I don't want to promise, but we'll see. Maybe some kind of one-on-one questioning or whatever. We'll see. I'll keep you posted. Peace out.
Get breached. Get breached.
People are getting burrowed left and right, and people are going to remember it.
Get burrowed.